Welcome to Adam Does Movies Live. Already screwing things up. That didn't go away. I'm Adam, of course. It's Tuesday night. I'm back. I'm feeling more tired than ever before. But I was at Megacon all weekend, baby, with Cody Leach, with Sean Chandler, with a bunch of other people. And it was a great time. I was nervous as crap, but I think I pulled through. And you're going to be seeing some of the panels, some of the event stuff coming up on not only my channel, but Sean and Cody's as well. I'm not going to waste any more time. Cody's here with me. Let's bring him in. Boom. There he is.
Hey.
How you doing?
Still recovering, as we talked about before we went live. You still have that festival exhaustion.
Yeah. I should point out a couple things. One, super chats are always appreciated. It's basically how Cody and I are going to survive in January, since it's the worst payout month on YouTube. And
Yes.
We just spent a stupid amount of money, especially Cody, on autographs and photos, which I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit. Oh my God. Yeah, you'll have to go through those in a little while. Sean may or may not be joining us. He came home to 3 sick as a dog kids who stayed home from school. And I know his wife is like out the door the next day. So he's doing the dad thing, which is not great. Not great. So yeah, for those that don't know, Sean, I was on, what was on your stream? Like a month ago, 2 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
You had a live stream. I went on, it was about the state of the movie industry with Sean. We chatted for a couple hours and then the stream ended. And I think we chatted for at least another hour or so. Really
Yes.
hit it off. Sean and Cody invited me to go to Megacon. It's the first time I've ever been to a con. If you don't count, I was given a press pass from a buddy of mine in Canada to go to WizardCon in Minnesota like 7 years ago. I don't think WizardCon is even a thing anymore. I think they're out of business.
It's one of them cons where they like fill out a hotel lobby or something like that.
It was a very small, kind of depressing thing. I'm pretty sure the Green Power Ranger was there, and that was about it.
Oh, wow.
Pour one out for the Green Power Ranger. But no, so I went up Friday, but Cody, you were up there Thursday, right? It was a 4-day event.
Yeah, I left 7 a.m. on Thursday and got there around 11:30. Sean was already there. Joey got there not too long after that. And then we went over and did our first panel at 7 p.m. We walked right into the con as soon as, right before it opened. You know, you get the little Wayne's World badges where you're just like, I'm working here, bitch, get out the way.
Yeah, that's right. That was nice. You get a lanyard, and I
Yeah.
love lanyards. I think they're the most special things on earth. And you get to bypass all the security and just and they just kind of tip the hat to you. You give them a wink, and you walk right around on your merry day. I felt super special with that lanyard.
I felt especially special on Sunday when I had to do that sprint back to the hotel to wake up Joey and sprint back, and there was 2,000 people waiting.
We'll get to that. So
we will.
So we should probably, I'm sure everybody knows what Megacon and Comic-Con are, but if you don't, we'll give you a really stupid surface level thing. Essentially, it was in Orlando, Florida. It was a gigantic, how many Costco's worth would you say it is? Square space, maybe 30. I don't know.
And that's just on the side that we were in. There was a whole other side of the convention center that was like the Cowboy Con or the Cattle Con or whatever, which is the side that it used to be on. So yeah, it's the whole convention center might as well be its own city because it's surrounded by hotels. There's sky bridges going every which way. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's very futuristic when you walk in there. The ceiling's massively high. And all it is really is it's a bunch of nerds getting together and celebrating movies, comics, anime, some video game stuff I saw this year. I wish there'd be more of that, maybe in the future. And there's, I don't know how many different kind of like kiosks they had there, but hundreds, I would imagine. And
yes.
On the far side, you have all the celebrities that show up. And these range from voice actors like the Futurama cast, a lot of them were there. To really big name actresses like Susan Sarandon, Gina Davis was there.
Back to the Future cast was there. The Stranger Things kids, anybody involved with Star Wars basically goes every single time. Had Bill Shatner hanging out, and
he's always. You look around, you'll find Will Shatner somewhere. He's always there. He and who's the actress that's always there? She does the web series. she's not like a really popular actress, but she is in the nerd world. Felicia Day.
Lisa Day, yeah.
Felicia Day, yeah. She's at every single Comic-Con ever. I'm pretty sure she just kind of packs up and goes with the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And so outside of that, then you have kind of the center stage area right next to the food court. And during this, there are panels that are presented. I think Chuck, who kind of runs the panel thing, said there was, 80 panels or more that he had scheduled?
10 a.m. all the way to 7 p.m. every single day, with the exception of Sunday, which was like 4 to 7. But yeah, I mean, every hour is a new panel. So they literally don't leave the stage until the show is done.
Right. And that was the big thing I was kind of invited to do, were a few of these movie panels, and of course to just meet people that know me and Cody and Sean. So with that said, Cody's there Thursday. Why don't you walk us through how that went?
Yeah, so we get there Thursday. Like I said, we walk in with our Wayne's World badges. So we walk in at 3 while everybody else is waiting outside for 4 o'clock to hit. You know, we check out the stage. It had moved from not only the convention being on a different side of the convention, but where they stuck the creator stage itself was in a much more prime spot this year, where, as Adam said, it's like right in the center of the action. It's right next to where a lot of the booths are, right where the food court is, and it was just right in the middle of all of that. So tons of walk-through traffic. Even if they're not listening, it looks like you're speaking to about 10,000 more people than you probably are. The previous 2 years, it was literally in the corner where you pass the curtains to go to the bathroom. So you would only get the walking traffic of somebody who's not stopping because they have to piss. So it was a much nicer spot. And we had our photo op with Back to the Future cast, which I'll have to get out here, like right at 4:20. That was the first order of business. So me and Joey and Sean got in line to get this picture with the cast of Back to the Future. You got Christopher Lloyd, Michael J. Fox, Leah Thompson, and Tom Wilson. And massive line. I mean, they were kind of the premier guests. They were only there Thursday and Friday. They were selling packages that were as high as like $1,600 to attend their panel, get a first row seat, plus get to actually meet them and get a picture signed. This picture, which covered up to 4 people to be able to come in and take this picture, was $700. So they make their money. And if you've never done these photo shoots, especially the bigger ones, I mean, they give you like 2 seconds to stand there, take your picture, and then get the fuck out. There's no meet and greet. There's no handshakes. There's no like, nice to meet you, mister. They're just like, next. And the funniest thing with this one, which I'm glad happened because it made it such a great memory, is we stand behind them. They pop the picture. We walk to the left, and luckily they have like a little preview screen. So if somebody blinks, if something happens, they let you retake it. And sadly, I assume this happened a lot because of Michael J. Fox's disease. He's moving around a lot.
Yeah.
So we take our picture, we go to leave, and they're like, you got to retake it, get back in line. So you just immediately get right back over to the other side of the photo booth. 2 more people go. We get back up to take our picture, and Tom Wilson looks at us. He goes, oh, these 3 bozos again. Can't even take a picture right. And we're like, we got bullied by Biff. Yes. So it was awesome. Walked around a little bit more, and the panel that kicked it off that night was me and Joey. I was interviewing him about his early life, becoming a big movie fan, his unexpected rise to fame and Netflix reality series, and then talking about his movie that he has coming out later on this year and kind of the creative process with that, which was a bit nerve-wracking for me because that was the first time that I was leading a panel. Usually Sean does that, and I'm just kind of thrown, what to talk about here and there. But as you know, because you've met Joey, he's just a guy that you just have to tee off and then you just let him go. So it was very stressless for me.
How about that weather, Joey? Let me tell you about what's going on in Hollywood. Okay. Yes, all right. I'm here.
Exactly.
Yeah, can you give us just a little bit about how you met Joey and who this guy even is? Because I didn't know who he was until, of course, I went there on Thursday, and he was fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's a funny story, man, because I don't watch reality TV, and neither does Joey. Ironically enough, he'll tell you that openly, but I don't watch reality TV. But the Circle is this show that Netflix started maybe 4 years ago, something like that. It was their first reality TV show. And the concept of it, if nobody's seen it, is you get all these people together, mostly 20-somethings, and each individual person is locked in like their own apartment, and they're shut off from the outside world, and they're only able to interact with the other contestants through social media. So like Facebook profile pics, instant messaging, group chats. And some of the people are actually catfish, so they're not who they're presenting on screen.
Oh,
and
okay.
they get all these little activities and things to do. And at the end of every episode, they have to like basically vote somebody out of the island. They have to block them. And Joey ended up winning the first season. So I'm watching, my wife is watching this show, and I'm sitting here like side eyeing it, doing my editing or whatever. I'm like, this stupid fucking show. I don't watch reality TV. And then like 3 episodes in, I'm like, I'm kind of watching more. It's catching more of my attention. And no lie, like I start watching it and I'm like, I like this guy Joey. He's like fun to watch. I hope he wins. And so I start getting invested, and he ends up winning. Fast forward maybe a year and a half after that show airs, and randomly on Instagram one day, it's like Joey Sasso requests to be a friend. And I'm like, who the fuck is this loser pretending to be that guy from The Circle? This can't be real.
What a random person to
it was so random. So random. And so I added him as a friend, and I look at his profile and I was like, oh, that's the real Joey. Now, he's probably just networking. He doesn't know the fuck I am. This is weird.
Right,
Right. And then all of a sudden, like 30 seconds later, he sends me a message. He's like, bro, huge fan of your channel, love horror. And I was like, this is fucking crazy. Like the one reality show that I watch and the one person on the show that I kind of latch into and kind of really like it was a massive fan of my channel. So
that's crazy.
Kind of a twist of fate. And then, we've chatted and gotten close over the last couple of years, talking movies and everything. And when Sean let me know that we got the go ahead to go to Megacon, a lot of our people that we had already done it with were busy because it was such a last minute go ahead. And just kind of on a whim, I was like, it's probably not going to happen. I know it's last minute, but I know you got your movie coming out. If you want to join for a couple of panels, and like, yeah, I'll be there. Oh, okay. And so he flew out, and
well, it wasn't just I'll be there. Wasn't it? I'm here for all 4 days, because you thought maybe he'd come out for a day or two, but no, he was like all in.
Well, as soon as he was all in and he was I was like, okay, well, what can we throw him on? What makes sense? And so it was kind of cool for him because he's known as this reality guy, and he wants to be known for movies and being a filmmaker. So it was kind of a way for him to like actually play in the sandbox that he wants to play in. So yeah, he joined us for, I interviewed him, and then he joined us for the Hot Movie Take Showdown and the final one, the horror movie show panel. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I knew he was going to be a fun guy to talk to when I saw him wearing the Season of the Witch t-shirt, Halloween 3, and he wasn't wearing it ironically. I thought, okay, all right, I like this guy. This is going to be fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that was the funny thing. Like we'll get to that, but we have such a keen taste for certain things that like we line up so well, and we shouldn't. Like every opinion that we have should make us not friends with everybody, but for some reason me and him are just cut from the same cloth in that way.
You guys get it. You're in sync. So did Thursday have a rough night, or did you get to bed at a decent time Thursday night? Because I know the other nights were not so kind.
No. Thursday night was not a sleep night.
Okay, so Cody and Joey were in this. This is brilliant too. The amount of planning you guys put together is just brilliant. Sean, there's 2 hotels with the same name, but one of them's East and one of them's West, I think. And so Sean got his hotel, and I was staying with him the following night. And Cody and Joey were in the other hotel that was a mile or 2 away, or might as well be 10 miles with the amount of traffic that was there. So we couldn't actually hang out with them, when the night started to wind down. But so Cody and Joey had a nice intimate time together at night to chat.
Yes. Exactly. And like I said, Joey's the type of guy where you don't really have to give him much to get a lot of conversation out of him. And he's been working in the industry so much. So he would just, even as I saw like the time, I'm like, man, it's almost 5 a.m. And then you start to get them droopy eyes. And then he'd just be like, oh, and then this happened with Vince Vaughn. And I'm just like, tell me more. And so like, he just always had this way to like pitch the beginning of a story that all of a sudden I'm like, I'm awake again. And so literally the first night after the first night of Megacon, we didn't wind down from conversation to actually go to bed until like 7 a.m. And I had to be there at 10 a.m. for the YouTube panel. So it was literally like 3 hours of sleep ish. And I just got there, and I told Sean the whole thing, and that kind of became like a recurring joke that I was going to get no sleep because we're just like partying hard the whole time.
I mean, is it a joke if it's a reality? Because that would continue to be the trend.
Yes, exactly. It would.
Okay, so Friday you got up, you did your panel somehow, growing a YouTube channel. I was actually invited to be on that one, but I was doing the math and I thought to myself, okay, I would have to leave my house at around 2:30 in the morning if I were to hit that 10 a.m. panel. So I told Sean it's not going to happen. But that went well. You guys hung out, I assume, for a while. And then I got up and left around 7 in the morning, assuming I would get there around 12:31, giving me ample time to find the room, get unpacked, and get to the panel at 4 for the That didn't happen either because, of course, I'm terrible when it comes to driving any sort of distance. I have to stop every hour and a half to go to the bathroom, get a Coke. And Cody, I don't know if I told you this, but I have a little life hack that I actually taught myself off the fly. I might have told you, but I like to drink a Coca-Cola Classic. Call me old-fashioned. Cup of ice and a Coke is my thing to do. I go to McDonald's to get a breakfast. Okay, so here we go. I go to McDonald's for a morning breakfast, which I absolutely adore. Get a large Coke with extra ice because I noticed in the South, they like to really skimp on the ice, like they're doing you a favor, but it's actually a disservice to me because I like a nice amount of ice. I think
Coke. Just sorry to cut you off. I think that comes from, I've met more people down South that bitch about the amount of soda that you get because they down here, it's very much a thing to get no ice because you get the whole thing full of soda. And they're like, it's cold out of the machine. And my philosophy is like, and then it's warm 5 minutes later.
Exactly.
So I think that's where it comes from, is they're so used to people saying light ice that light ice has become normal ice down here.
Yeah, I do have to request extra ice now everywhere I go. And then it seems like I get a decent amount. So it's not a huge deal. It's just something I've learned to live with over the last year and a half. But anyway, my hack is I get a Coke. I polish that thing off, pretty early on because I get so much ice in it.
2 sips.
So the joke's on me, I guess. But what I ended up doing is, since McDonald's are all over the place, I still have a bunch of ice in my cup. I just pull off. I go up into the establishment. I just refill that thing at another Coca-Cola stand inside of a McDonald's. Is it stealing? I don't know. It's coming from the same company. It's a different location. If you don't know how fountain soda works, it actually costs the company nothing for the machine. They just pay for the shitty syrup. So at the end of the day,
it's kind of like counting cards. It's not illegal, just frowned upon.
Exactly. Maybe it's I'm just abusing some little plot hole in the system, but I'm okay with that. I've given them enough of my money. So
Dice says it's sticking it to the clown.
Sticking it to the clown. And I did have to stop up at Buc-ee's, which is always going to cost you about a half hour of time because of the amount of people. And $100. Yeah. I had a brisket sandwich and a Coke as well. I ended up getting to Megacon around 3 o'clock. It was supposed to be 12:30. It was almost 3. Sean kept texting me. He's like, so what's the ETA on this? Because I told him far earlier and it just kept going up. As I got closer, the traffic got just stupid bad.
Oh my
this
God,
is a
dude.
Friday afternoon. It was ridiculous.
The same thing. It's 95, smooth sailing. As soon as you start going on I-4, shit. And Orlando has, by a landslide, the worst drivers I've ever been around. And it's consistent. Every time I come to Orlando, I almost get in a wreck at least twice. Like the first year that we were there, this is no exaggeration. I went to go drop Sean off at the airport at 5 a.m. There's nobody on the road. Nobody. And somehow I still almost got in a wreck 3 times in 10 minutes.
Yeah. I actually have a horror story coming up here because my daughter is about to turn 15, as in tomorrow. And so she is old enough to get a permit. And in South Carolina, I'm pretty sure your insurance goes up by like $1,000 a month or something insane. So I'm just like trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do. It's actually very scary. It's a very scary situation.
Yes.
That and the fact that I almost die every time I drive because of how horrible the people are here. I can't imagine a 15-year-old girl attempting to get around this place. It's nightmare fuel. All right, so I get there. I can't remember the name of the hotel, but it was awesome. Do you remember the name of that thing?
Yours was the Rosen Center. Mine was Rosen Plaza.
Rosen Center, Rosen Plaza. I don't know what the difference is. One, I guess, is in the central hub of the arena, and yours is maybe on the outskirts more. I didn't see
something
yours.
Like that.
Okay. I get there. Actually, I should back up a little bit. Earlier on the drive, this isn't even a 24-hour notice. Sean texts me and says, hey, Adam, I know you were just at Universal Studios for 4 days with your family, but they have a sick deal where Friday night we can get in for $80. Would you like to go? He didn't even finish his question before I said hell to the yes, and I was in. And that'll come back later on in the story. But I get there, I meet Sean. I meet his buddy Tony, I believe his name was. He's a fan of the show, and he's starting a YouTube channel. He's a very nice guy. And then we jumped on our hot takes panel. And this nice woman named Bevan, I guess, also got kind of thrown in last second to the panel. And Sean wasn't really prepared for that. Didn't know her. I didn't know her. And also on the drive up, he goes, hey, we're going to be debating things. Do you know anything about Avatar: The Last Airbender show? Because I don't. And I fortunately did. I love that show. It's one of my favorites. And so he said, okay, you're going to be debating it with Bevan. She has a hot take. And that's all I had to work off of. But I think it worked out.
We were all kind of unsure of what that hot takes one was going to be. Every year, Sean has one little wacky idea, and it never completely you never completely see the vision of it until it's halfway already through. So that whole time I was very concerned on this is either going to be a really good hit or we're going to be like feeling awkward. And luckily I think it hit more than it didn't. But the difficulty with that was I was paired with Joey, which was great because our personalities bounce off each other really well. We can get real animated and, get the crowd interacted. But like I said, our hot takes, like we see each other as the sane one in the room. So it took like all day of us chatting. I'm trying to figure out like what hot take can I argue with you that you don't completely agree with. And so like everyone that I'm thinking of, like the thing that I would get the most shit for online, I was like, what do you think about this? And he's like, love it. I'm like, fuck, can't do that one. And so the whole day was that. And luckily by the end of it, we ended up coming up with two that we at least
what were
disagreed.
they again? I didn't even listen to yours because I was too busy worrying about mine.
Yeah, I hear you. So his ended up being that Last Jedi was the best Star Wars movie since Empire. And mine was that the original Friday the 13th is a terrible movie. And so
I actually agree with yours. I'm going to have to watch that panel again because I didn't hear your last Jedi rebuttal. That had to have been fantastic because I would have gone on for an hour. Okay, good. Yeah. You know why I didn't listen? Because I didn't know that we were supposed to have two of them. Sean told me that she had one about Last Airbender. He didn't say I was supposed to have one. So while you guys were going and then you swapped, Bevan's like, wait, you're supposed to have one too. I'm like, oh God. So then I'm trying to come up with something. And that's why mine was such an easy one for her to kind of tee off on. I don't even remember what it was. I just remember it was very easy for her. The funny part about ours is she's talking to me about her Last Airbender hot take, which was Aang and Katara shouldn't have ended up together at the end. It's a whatever. It's stupid. It's a stupid internet thing. But I'm kind of just like cordially disagreeing with her. And she goes, you know what? I think ours is going to be a pretty civil back and forth conversation compared to these guys. And we get up there and I'm pretty sure I just went fucking at her. She like said her thing and I'm like, how dare you? And I think it kind of took her back. She's like, whoa, I was not expecting it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're like, this is what the show is supposed to be. Exactly. And the funniest part too is like Sean started to get into like this pseudo hot ones thing here on his channel where he's doing like the hot takes, hot wings thing. And he kept like hinting that that was going to be involved somehow. And this is, what I was doing the whole time. Like we're not doing a panel, we're not doing meet and greets. I'm out walking. I'm trying to go to tables and, go to panels and stuff. Yeah. And so like I was pretty adamant, like I'm not having any last dab. I don't know what's going on with you. And so Sean just ends up the only one with this plate of chicken fingers. That's like, he's just eating hot sauce. The rest of us are just,
I didn't know about this whole thing. So
I don't think the audience did either because it was so like, I don't know if he was wanting everybody to take a part in it, but that was like kind of the last minute thing that was thrown in that wasn't even really communicated well. So it's so random when you watch it. Just everybody else is just like, I disagree too. Who in the crowd disagrees? And then Sean's just like, pain.
Yeah, Sean's like, oh, here we go again. Like, who are you doing this for? And I don't think anybody understands.
I'm sitting next to him, and like we're in front of what seems like 100,000 people because you have all the photo ops and all that empty space. And I look at him, and he's talking, trying to like hold his composure, and I just see tears coming down his face, and I'm just waiting for him to like pass it off, like you host for a second.
Yeah,
but he toughed it out.
All right, so that panel was at 4, went to around 5. They were about 45 minutes each. And again, these panels will be available on the channels at some point. I don't know. Do you know when yours is going
up? At some point this week. I really don't know, but I'll get it out by both of them will be out by Friday for sure.
Okay.
Sean's going to have the How to Grow YouTube channel on his channel. It might not be on his main channel. It'll probably be on his Real Creators one, which is kind of his instructional channel. The movie Hot Takes, as well as the comic book Bubble Burst one, will be on his channel. Mine will have the Joey interview and the state of the horror genre.
Nice. And I'll probably just do a collection of them under one video, just a little greatest hits or something like that. And I'll probably post, actually, if you are a Patreon at patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies, I will have all of the panels. I'll just upload them there for you at like the, I don't know, $10 tier and up. All right. So after that, I think, did you go get, you must have gone and went autographs with Joey, right? And Sean did his little
pretty much. Yeah. So Sean is the only one worthy of a table by Megacon. Fan Expo could give a fuck about the rest of us. That's kind of it's a running joke, because like last year I made a really big deal about that, because it just kind of seemed like some of us were discarded, but this year it was just kind of like, of course they only gave Sean a table. Awesome. So he's got his table, and every single panel he's got 30 people in line, and Sean, God bless him, just stays there. Like, he never gets through his line and says, okay, I've done my bit. Now I'm going to go experience the con. He just parks there and waits for somebody else.
He sits on top of the table. He's like fully engaged. And for a little bit, because I'd never done this, as my first one ever. So I'm kind of just standing there like his handler for a little bit. Once in a while, somebody like, oh, hey, Adam. But most of the time they see Sean's face up on the billboard, and they're here for him. And I'm just kind of like this misfit toy. And I like, part of me is so badly wants to say like, hey, I have a YouTube channel too, Adam Does Movies, or hopes that Sean will like address me. But in my mind, I'm like, no, this is their thing. I don't need to be here. I shouldn't be here. And I learned that quick enough, after he spends 15 minutes talking with one person, which is exactly what I probably would do also. So I kind of just started meandering and enjoying the massive Megacon experience. And I went back to him around, I want to say it was 6:20. I go back there, and Sean goes, Adam, I found out that we have to pick up our tickets at the the will call area of Megacon
Universal
Center. Yeah, to get into the Universal Studios, because this $80 thing we bought, you have to actually go to a location inside of Megacon to pick up your little snap bracelets, because this park is only open for Megacon people from 7 p.m. to midnight, which is fantastic. But that was at 6:20. He told me that. And I'm just saying, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll make sure. Between the two of us idiots, one of us will remember. Cody is by far the most responsible person of the three of us. I'm married for a reason. I can't tie my shoes without my wife telling me. But Cody was gone. He and Joey were off getting autographs and meeting cool people. I'm just kind of wandering. And at 6:25, I look at my phone and I see an email that says, you must pick up your tickets by 6:30 or you will not get into the Universal Studios. It's 6:25. Sean is full on in, creator mode, talking to two people. I'm like, Sean, I hate to break this up, but we have to go now. And he's like, what's going on? I'm like, we have to pick these up at the will call booth here. And Sean's like, oh my God, that's on the other side of the arena. So we're full blown sprinting through this thing. He's already sweaty from all the hot wing sauce he's been ingesting. And so he's just drenched. He's got his bag on. I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. And Sean's like, go through here. And the people wouldn't let us through some area, even though we had badges. So we had to like swing around. And at 6:30 on the dot, we get there. And thankfully, we were able to get our badges. But that was, holy shit. Talk about a first night experience.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny because I reminded Sean twice, too, because I picked mine up on the way in at 9 o'clock in the morning. That was the first thing I did. I even took a picture of the booth. I was like, it's all the way to the right. Here's what it looks like. Make sure you get it on the way in. And then
you didn't tell me this at all.
Yeah, no, of course he didn't. I sent the whole text. I was like, here's where you get. I might as well have drawn a map. And then, I didn't find out until you guys were gone. They're like, they went to go run to get badges. And I was like, damn, that's gonna suck.
On the responsibility totem pole, you're at the top. I'm definitely next, and then Sean. So if you ever have any information, relay it to me, and then we don't even need to tell Sean. We'll just, when the time comes, we'll do it for him.
Yeah. Well, I always tell anybody that joins us, I'm like, when Sean gets to the stage, Sean's brain goes into work mode, and you literally have to physically flip the switch. Like, he can't switch it himself. So there's been years where I'm like, Sean, you have to consume food at some point. They'll come back. Let's go.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he very much just gets there, and his body goes into lockdown. And I always joke with everybody else. I've joked with Sean too. Like, you'll see when the day is over, you'll see his body just go like it just goes into rest mode.
It is really something. I don't know what it is about him, but he becomes very loose, but also kind of like zombified at the same time. He's like hunched over. He's very tired. He's goofy. He's very fun to be around. He's always fun to be around, but he's like even more silly at night.
Yes.
I feel like I could say anything and he'll laugh at it, and I appreciate that.
Yes, very much.
And so that was really fun going to Universal with you guys, because we got the tickets. Chuck, who does the stage stuff, said he had an Uber that could, I have an Uber on the way that can fit 6 people, and there are 7 of us. I think it'll work. And Cody just kind of looks at Sean and then looks at me and then down at himself. We're all like 6'3" plus. And he's like, I don't think this is gonna work.
Yeah, I said, I've never heard "squeeze us in" used in reference to myself, let alone these gentlemen who are equal size.
Right. Unless this Uber's a clown car, there's no way this is happening. And I did drive, so I do have a vehicle, and we were trying to avoid parking, but there was no charge, which was nice. So
not only that, it was one of the best laughs of the night, where we're driving into the parking lot, and they have 1 lane for handicapped and 1 lane for regular people. And Adam's driving, and we're like a good, like, a 1/5 of a mile away from this woman, and she just like aggressively like points to the normal. And I was just like, why was she so confident that you were not handicapped? And then it just became
so confident.
Yeah, and it became a running joke.
Over
there.
Yeah. And I guess I take it as a compliment. It's one of the few times people have thought the opposite of me. Yeah. We got into the park, and it was honestly, it was amazing, but I was also kind of bitter about the whole thing, because again, I was there 2 weeks ago with my 2 kids and my wife. We spent a stupid amount of money to get into the parks. It was like 1/4 of the cost that it normally is. Plus, we paid $80, plus we got a $25 food and drink voucher on top of that. So really, it was like $50 at the end of the day, $55. And there was no lines for anything. So that Hagrid ride the whole night. So that Hagrid ride that usually averages 3 hours to wait in line for, we went on it 3 times. Velocicoaster, the same thing. Spider-Man, all of them. And Cody hasn't been to Universal Studios in a long time, so this is all new to him. And I'm just sitting here thinking, how dare you? You didn't put in the work for this ride, man. You just got right on this ride.
Yeah.
Although I did screw you out of $9, and for that I apologize. I'm so used to having to wait in line for things. I thought we would have had to wait a little bit. So
the butterbeer.
I got a butterbeer. I got a butterbeer. It's $9. And Cody's like, yeah, I'll get one too. I'm like, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. We just instantly had to throw them away because there was no line at all. That kind of sucked.
I'm sitting here trying to chug it, and it's a frozen one. So I'm like, it just hurts the whole time. And not only that, like it was hilarious too, because we're on this Hagrid ride. And
is Sean in the chat?
Oh, yeah.
You can come on the video unless you're still not in a situation where you can. He's probably in a robe, and he probably has
twice
like
if you're safe, Sean.
He has a cold ice pack on his head, and his kids are punching him in the stomach.
Yeah. Have you gotten your voice back, sir?
Oh, that's true. He did lose his voice. That horror panel was rough because he could barely talk.
But yeah, we'll get to the super chat in just a second, guys.
Yes.
But one of the funniest moments is we're riding this Hagrid ride, and luckily Adam has all the hacks. He's like, you definitely want to be on the right side. We want to be here. And so I'm on the motorcycle. And again, I've never experienced any of these rides because I haven't been to Universal since I was 6. And the Hagrid ride's kicking ass, but we get to a point where it stops, and it's like a moment to breathe. And I look over at Adam, and he's just like, and I look to the right thinking, what is he waving at? And then it just drops, and it totally set me up for like a jump scare. I was like, oh shit. So it was a good night.
I'm honestly jealous you got to experience that because it was like a day before we went on the ride. I purposely don't look at rides on YouTube Shorts or anything, but it showed up, the Hagrid ride. So I saw the whole thing and I knew about the drop before it happened when I went on it. And I was bummed out because that was would have been such a fun experience to feel.
Yeah, I didn't expect it because we had just went backwards, which was unexpected enough, and then it dropped, so it hit you twice. And yeah, we rode that. We rode that road. We rode that ride twice. Rode the Hulk. Rode the Spider-Man ride. The little Hogwarts experience one. All of them were pretty cool.
What was your favorite?
I was pleasantly the Hagrid one for sure.
Hagrid, okay.
Yeah,
I think I still lean Velocicoaster, but again, you didn't have lines. So based on my experiences, Hagrid's ride breaks down constantly, and then it screws everyone in the line over. And the Velocicoaster typically moves through the line faster. So I kind of weigh
Joey in the chat. Everybody's just taking a back seat.
Joey's in this too. Joey, you can come on the stream, dude. I sent him it via text, so whatever. People can come in if they want.
Joey's probably knee deep in some spicy chicken sandwiches and Mountain Dew Voltage, if you know what I mean.
And he's supposedly getting his hair cut too, so he might be eating and drinking and getting his hair did.
There you go. The other funny highlight of the night, which I was pleasantly surprised at the quality of the food, by the way. Usually when you get vouchers, it's just garbage. But I sit down and then Adam and Sean sit down and they're choking laughing about something. And I'm like, what the hell? And they're like, don't be obvious, but look at the name tag of the woman that gave you your food. I'm like, oh, and God bless this girl. Like, we weren't trying to make fun of her, but it's impossible not to get a joke out of it. And you know, shame on her parents. Shame on her parents. This poor woman's name was Anally.
Anally.
Yeah.
Anally. Anally.
And so we went on a good 10-minute comedy roast where we were talking like we were roasting the fact that Sean's meatballs on his spaghetti were 3 times the size of Adam's, and then that turned into like a bunch of like anal jokes about like us.
Because we're really mature. We're adults.
We were 8 years old for like 10 minutes, but it was us literally choking, laughing, and nobody understood what was so amazing about it, but it was.
I see someone. You ready? Shake your head if you're good. He can hear me, right? Thumbs up. No? Okay. Oh, yep. Okay. There he is. How's it going, sir?
Hey, I think Joey's in the chat too. If you want
he is.
More friends join in.
I asked him.
So there was a good 12 minutes of us just being the worst examples of white men ever, where we're just like, I'm tired of taking it up the ass with these meatballs anally, and we're just every which way we could do it. So yeah, that was especially.
What conversation did I join in on here?
You joined in the right one. Yeah. We're in the line. He's talking about the poor girl.
Anna Lee and her name.
Yeah.
You know how I know I'm really mature? I went home to tell my wife the story, and I go, listen, Lindsay, the woman's name tag said Anally, and she goes, Annalie? I'm like, okay. I'm not talking to you anymore. You don't understand my humor. Yeah, but I'm in the line and I see the tag and I go, and I go, Sean. I go, Sean. And Sean's just all calm, like, and he looks over. I thought he was gonna drop his food. It's so good. Yeah, we're adults. There was one other highlight from that little event, and Sean's gone. Sean's done. Jonathan?
I can hear
you. I can hear you too.
You. There he is.
Oh, interesting.
He's in a horror movie right now.
Where did I go? My back?
You're kind of going back and forth. Your hand's in the way. You're flipping things around. Now you're in.
I don't know what's happening.
This is going to be great for the audio version only.
Yeah.
Sean apparently is learning how his camera works for the first time, and we'll maybe see him again someday. We caught up with, was it Chuck and some of the other people that worked at the Megacon later? Cody?
Yeah, we crossed paths with them after we had basically completed our round and we were eating, and then they joined us, and then we tried to follow.
And then they just straight up ditched us at one point, and that was fantastic. They're like, oh, we want to go inside this shop for a little bit. We're like, okay, cool. So we just kind of hung out outside, and 10 minutes go by.
Yeah, they go out the other door.
It was like a freaking, it was like a Scooby-Doo thing where they just kind of bailed on us. And yeah, they bailed. That's how it is. And it's fair. It's fair after the conversation we had just a little bit ago. Sean, are you here with us?
Yeah. I've heard everything. I was trying to respond to comments, but I'm on my phone in the web browser, so
yeah, you're doing.
That's like just a terrible idea. So
how's the family doing? Is everybody still under the weather?
Yeah, everyone's sick, so I can't even use my office. So I was downstairs watching Star Trek 3 because it's a Tuesday night. And then I noticed the live stream was going on. I was like, I guess I could join on my phone.
Yeah.
So here I am.
That's the power of technology. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on a fridge, probably, if it had the capabilities.
Yeah, and whenever I need to go to the bathroom, I can stay on.
Yeah, you can just okay, guys, just hang on a second. So how are you recovering? I know your entire family is sick. Is your wife sick, or is she able to get out of the house?
No, she's not sick. She actually has to leave on a work trip tomorrow.
Yeah. Is she quarantined then in the kitchen or something in the garage?
I had her put a plastic bag over her head.
Yeah,
it stopped her from able to breathe the intoxicated air. It also just stopped her breathing in general. So that was a problem.
Yeah.
What was that question? Was that Jennifer?
She's like, I'm done.
Yeah, I have just been sleeping. Like the real reason I forgot to get on when you started is because I was asleep. I put on Star Trek 3 and immediately tried to take a nap at 8 o'clock at night, and then woke up like, oh, they're on. Let me hop on.
Well, right before I went live,
my third nap today.
Right before I went live, Cody was actually on this stream before I was. I was finishing up a game of Life with my family, which, let me tell you, if you want to have a terrible evening with the kids, play Life. What a horrible game. My daughter had 3 houses by the end, a full car of people. She's counting $500,000 bills, and I'm sitting here with just a sad couple $100 to my name, and I'm like, I gotta leave. I have a stream to get to. I don't have time for this garbage. So they're probably still counting money up there for all I know.
The board game that my 7-year-old has latched onto from the last couple of months is Breaking Bad Monopoly. And it's just hilarious because she doesn't understand the references. She's just like, upgrade my tent to a meth lab. Here you go.
That's awesome. I'm on Jesse Pinkman Boulevard. Like, what are the names of these? Crack House and
all of the locations of the show.
Walter White's
house, and then Jesse's house, and then like the laundromat.
You got Hank's place on there?
Yeah.
That's great. Wow. All right. Where were we on this chronicling of Megacon? Okay, so Friday night, we're out till midnight. We live it up. It's a fantastic time. Sean and I go back to the hotel, and we chat for a good, I think, 2 hours. We didn't get to bed till around 2 or 3 in the morning. And we
watched Impractical Jokers.
No. That was the next night. That was the next night.
Oh, I got confused.
It was just a nice heart-to-heart with you and I.
Yeah.
Learning about each other, experiencing everything there is to know about Sean Chandler and Adam Ollinger. Yeah. And we got to bed at 3, and I thought, wow, can't get up. You can't stay up much later than this. But then I heard from Cody the next morning. What happened on your end of the thing? On your side of the thing?
Yeah, that was that's the night that it happened. That's correct. So yeah, we didn't have a panel until 1 p.m. Saturday. That was the only day that we had one panel. And I was talking like because on Friday I had spent 2.5 hours in line trying to get Keith David's autograph, and ignorantly of me, I'm thinking, oh, so the Thing fans, They Live fans, there's something about Mary fans. This should be a fairly reasonable line. And I get there, and it's by far the longest line of Thursday and Friday, aside from the Back to the Future people. And I'm in line, and I'm like, well, this is awesome that the Thing has this much of a turnout. And I start looking at everybody. I'm like, oh, that person's holding a Gargoyles box. Oh, Princess and the Frog. Oh, Halo. That guy's got a helmet. Oh, yeah, I forgot he does a lot of voice work. And so
Rick and Morty's kind of a popular show.
I'm the oddball in the line because it's like the least nerdy thing that they want him to sign. And then I ended up having to leave the line before I could even see him because we had our panel. So I was kind of screwed out of 2.5 hours. So I told these guys, I was like, I'm getting here at 9. I'm going to come in with the Wayne's World badge and get past everybody. I'm going to go stand in his line awkwardly at 10, even if I'm by myself, just to make sure that I meet him. And then I started to hear some Joey stories, and my God, the time just flew off of that clock. And suddenly, like, the way our hotel is like we have our 2 beds, and then we have the window that looks out to like the convention and the water and everything. And so my back is to it, and I'm just listening to all of his stories. And then all of a sudden I start to see the glow in the room is a little different. And I'm like, oh, the sun's out. And so I go to bed at 7 a.m. Yeah, me getting there at 9 did not happen. And so I got there like at 12, 5 hours of sleep. They're like, oh yeah, we stayed up till 3. We're wild animals. And I was like, well, listen to this. And
Jump change, my friend. I just texted Joey. I kind of yelled at him. I said, we're all here. Get in this chat. We'd love to hear from you. Oh, there he is. Cody, I fucked up that thing. He's ignoring my text, and he's in the live chat. Joey,
he might be indisposed.
Yeah, he probably is. I mean, Sean's on his phone in what has to be COVID country right now. Your kids don't have like the stomach flu, do they? I hope not.
Well, Karis claims she threw up last night, and I asked her what color, and she said green. So that seems like that could be true. I don't know.
You're so
I tried to train them to take pictures whenever they throw up, so I can, like, I don't know. I just like that sort of thing,
Oh yeah, right.
Wallpaper on the
where
phone.
they are in the whole spectrum.
So, it's just a personal thing that Sean likes, kind of a fun CSI sort of a situation.
Well, those little quirks that make us all unique. Mine is vomit pictures, obviously. But Liam is just like, he had like 104 fever when I got home.
Ooh.
And so he was just like cooking, but he was like pretty normal, just running real hot. And then Chloe didn't want to go to school, which that is a sign that she's very sick.
Yeah, she likes school. She likes going.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to miss robotics club. Chloe, you're sick. You got a fever. But I'll miss robotics club.
It's not going to miss you if you're sick.
It's okay.
Yeah. Well, you got your voice back a little bit, it sounds like, because that was completely shot by Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was shot on Saturday. That was what was worrying. I was like, Sean, do you need me to host on Sunday? And he was like, I already thought you were. And I'm like, oh, well, good then.
he's just chugging the hot sauce, trying to kind of bring a little bit of fire back.
Yeah.
Well, so Saturday,
that was catch up on your super chats, Adam. There was like 3 or 4 of them that we were rolling through.
You're right. We might as well do it. We'll do a couple super chats. Please keep them coming, and we'll jump to them every so often. Shout out of a canyon, Daniel Fa earlier with this nice $2 super chat. Thank you, Daniel. Adam, any celeb you fanboy? Same question, Cody, and I imagine now Sean, because this was thrown at us before Sean was here. Oh, Sean's on the move. Sean's doing stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Cody, you had like 15, so why don't you start, and I'll jump off whatever you don't say.
I mean, I fanboyed over all of them. The one that I had the best experience with, as far as like actually getting to sit and talk and have a conversation, Juliette Lewis was great to meet, very humble, and she was really fun. I told her a story about how I saw From Dusk Till Dawn when I was 6 years old. She seemed to get a kick out of that. Ethan Suplee was really cool. I talked with him, and I even enlightened him to the fact that there was a such thing as a Butterfly Effect 3. So that was kind of funny. Who else did I meet that was really cool? So Eli Roth, I probably got to talk to the longest. Told him the story about how me and my dad saw Hostel with, no expectations. And it literally just fucked our world up for about the rest of the day. Couldn't even listen to music for the rest of the day, to listen to like the Carpenters and shit on the way home, because we were just such bad vibes. But yeah, I mean, everybody was cool. I got an autograph from, we got the Back to the Future picture. That was amazing to start off with, but they're, very quick. You don't really get to see them too much. I got a picture with Thelma and Louise, me and Joey. That was really neat. I did meet Gina Davis off to the side too, but she seemed very tired, and this was her first con, so I kind of caught her at a bad point of the day. Last picture that we did, you can see Adam in that one. We got to see Mike and Gayton there from Stranger Things.
Another picture making it clear that we're all giants, apparently.
Yes, exactly.
That one in particular.
Juliette Lewis and Danny Trejo there. And the comment I keep getting from everybody is, I didn't realize Danny Trejo was so small. I'm like, keep in mind that me and Sean are giant. So then, we got Ethan Supley.
Am I here? Am I in?
Hey!
Yes.
There he is.
I'm
Joey's
here.
in the house. We got all four.
I just got, I look fucking handsome. I just got done getting my hair done. My girl did a beautiful, beautiful cut. And then I did my relaxer. Cody, remember I was telling you about the curls in the bag? You said the Sons of Anarchy shit?
Yeah.
It's gone. No more
It's
Charlie
gone?
Hunnam in
Oh,
here.
man. Buddha from the
Yeah.
club.
Oh, that looks nice. Nice and tight.
Hi, boys.
What's
How
up?
you doing?
Hello.
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. You know, I gotta say, I have reflected a lot because I've been texting Cody. I think I've slept like 48 hours in the last like day and a half, which if it's not possible, but it kind of is. I have not left this bed, and I have thought about a lot of things. And I have to say, Sean Chandler is still the nicest human I've ever met. And you just sit here and think of scenarios in your head on how you can just make him laugh, because getting a Sean laugh is like, wow, like I did something good in the world today. It's a beautiful thing.
Just hang out with him after he's worked his ass off all day, and he'll laugh at pretty much anything I found out. And it really makes you feel good about yourself.
Dude,
Absolutely.
this guy, I tell you, by the end of what was it, Sean, Saturday, when your voice was just like gone. And you still had people coming up to you, and you were still gladly talking, and it just sounded painful.
He went to take a picture, and I poked fun at him and about killed him because like he went to take a picture. They're like, "Can we get a picture?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's fun." And I was like, "He'll be with you in a second, guys." And Sean's keeling over, laughing with his sore throat. And I was like, "I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry."
Oh, it was fantastic though. Cody, I gotta watch those panels, bro.
To keep this moving,
wait,
quickly,
on the fanboy picture, I have a story. I don't even know if you heard this one, Adam.
Well, John, this is what I was going to say. To keep this moving, we'll each just quickly say someone we fanboyed. So, Cody, you got a ton of pictures. What was the one you were most excited for? Keith David?
Keith David probably, especially since the first day I got screwed out of meeting him, and then I was walking around with Adam and Joey. This is after our last panel, so we're all just
you owe Joey and I kind of a little thank you, because
I do. I told my dad this story. So we look off to the distance and you see Keith David in a different spot, and next to him was somebody from Star Wars. Must have been from one of the Rebels shows. I didn't recognize him, but the line was massive, and I was like, "There's no way." And Joey and Adam are like, "Dude, we will stand here with you. Go, like, get it done." And I'm like, fine. So I walk past, and the massive line was actually for the Star Wars chick. And I look over, and there's only like 3 people in line for Keith. And I was like, ah! And so I ran up and got the picture, and I paid for the combo where you get the selfie. And I was so starstruck, I walked away and got like 35 feet away before I realized I didn't get the picture.
He was looking good that day.
He had a
whole bunch of purple on, and he was just shining.
Yeah, he was
bright like a diamond.
He was pimped out.
Rihanna, just beautiful.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, Sean. That's fantastic. And again, I'm the cheap ass that just kind of like those little fish that swim next to the shark. I was next to Cody, so I could kind of see the celebrities without having to pay the money. It was a nice little treat for me on Sunday. Sean, who do you got? Who are you most excited for?
So there's more stories, but the way the universe played out, my little table was next to Greg Sestero, the star of The Room, the worst movie ever made. Hi, Mark. He's Mark. And his table was right next to mine. So I did finally talk to him as we were breaking our tables down. So it's one of those ones. It's always tough to talk to someone when there's such an odd thing that they're famous for. What do you talk to them that's not condescending? So I took a while to talk to him, but finally talked to him. But anyway, so we get, after Adam leaves, drives home to his family, Joey, Cody, and I go out to dinner, and I'm like fading, like leaning over. Cody sees me dying. He's like, I think we need to get Sean back to the hotel. So he drives me back to the hotel. I get out. I do this big epic goodbye to everyone. And they're like, we're driving you to the hotel or to the airport tomorrow. Like, oh, yeah. I got to see you tomorrow. Like, I'm dead, like hobbling inside. As I'm going to the elevator, I look out and I see Chuck and his crew, the people that ran the stage. And Chuck, I've been doing these with for 2 years now at Fan Expos. And he quit Fan Expo Megacon that day. So it's kind of like a big last hurrah, say good. I'm sure I'll see him again at something else, but go outside to say goodbye, sit down and talk for a few minutes. And then the lady that joined a couple of our panels, I'd better, just at the con, She walks up in a wave, and so she walks out with her friend. I turn around,
You're
and it's
missing a piece of the
Austin.
story. You text me before this, and
The important detail is so that's because like really important detail is so forgotten from my brain. But like I walked inside to like grab a drink, went to go pay, realized I didn't have my credit card, and I left my credit card at the restaurant. And so I text Cody, "Hey Cody, what's the name of the restaurant? I left my credit card at the restaurant." Walk outside, sit down, and then Evan walks up with her friend Austin St. John, the original Red Power Ranger.
Wow.
And so and he just sits there and hangs out with us for 2 hours. Like I'm just sitting there he's like asking me, how does YouTuber, how do you make your full time on YouTube? Man, I've tried to make money on there. It's tough. And he's telling old Saban stories of how they screwed him out of his money. I completely forget about my credit card. I always have my phone on silent. So Cody's called me 50 times like, dude, did you get your credit card? Did you call? Did you try anything? And 2 hours later, I'm like, oh, sorry, man. I was hanging out with the Red Ranger, completely forgot about my credit card.
So at some point, I'm like, okay, I'll be the good friend. I don't know what happened to Sean, but the place closes at 10. It's like 10:15 at this point. So I walk downstairs and go to the restaurant. Nobody's there. I find security and tell them what happened. And they're like, oh, yeah, like we have a place for that stuff. And I don't even know if they're going to give it to me because obviously I'm not Sean Chandler. I don't have any ID. So I tell them the story, and luckily they let me have his card. And like 5 minutes after this, I text Sean. I was like, hey, I got your card. And he calls me and he's like, and he just tells me that whole story. And I'm like, that could only happen in real life. Like there's no script you can write where you lose your credit card. You're potentially having to have identity theft and you completely forget because you're hanging out with the Red Ranger.
The Power Ranger.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
So to answer who you fanboyed out, it's the Red Ranger. Is that what we're getting at here, or that's just the story? Okay.
Well, spending the day with Joey, of course, a week with Joey, of course. That was hearing his stories.
Yes.
It was epic all weekend long. Incredible stories, and he's just as high energy behind, like in the hotel room telling stories, just as high energy all the time. So it was so fun.
It's like when people say I'm loud, and I genuinely don't believe I am. I just think other people are quiet. I just think that most people use inside voices. I just was never raised that way.
I always thought Sean was kind of like the loud, extreme one of the three of us. Well, yes, but then when we got on the panel and Joey comes on and he's just like, "You guys ready to have a conversation?" I'm gonna have to match that or get a little bit more loud.
I had to dial up my energy whenever I started hosting because I was like, I can't let him outshine me here. Because I was like, hey, you guys ready? And Joey's like, Megacon!
Well,
I'm like,
oh, funny because what did Chuck say to us, Sean? Like before we got up, he said basically like along the lines of like, hey, like, don't be afraid to like be loud just because we got people walking. I was like, oh, buddy, you have no idea.
Smoke the beast up, bro. All right. So, Joey, did you have anyone specifically that you were excited to meet at Megacon? A little Eli Roth, maybe, or?
Yeah. For me, it was definitely Eli, just for the fact that my writing partner Josh has worked for him. I interned at Blumhouse. He worked for Crypt TV when Eli started it. I've DM'd with Eli a few times, probably a couple of years ago, just telling him, thank you for the work. I'm a huge fan, grew up idolizing you, and that's never really left me. I love Thanksgiving. I think he's made a lot of really interesting choices, and I was super excited just to walk up to him and introduce myself properly. But if I'm being honest, Fanboy for me is like, what do I say? I have to keep it together. And I didn't get to speak to the people I fanboyed over the most, who is the entire cast of Entourage. I grew up loving that show. It's a show that made me feel confident about moving to Los Angeles still to this day. When my partner Josh and I will have a bad day, we'll throw on any random Entourage episode. And part of the fun of loving that show when you're in the industry, besides how real and true it is all the places in LA that you go to regularly that they're at all the time. And it's like, you know what, man? What does success mean? Because I used to sit in my parents' basement in Rochester, New York, and watch this shit and had no idea what any of this is. And I can get in the car right now and go right where they're. It's 5 minutes down the road. I go there all the time. Like, little things like that. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to go up to any of them. I didn't know it was their first time doing any convention whatsoever, which I think is super dope. that they're doing it. I wish that show would be, I don't even want to say rebooted, just continued. Like, that's a show that to me, there doesn't need to be a through line of the story. Like,
Right.
it's a show that can just keep going based on the changes in the industry. The fact that, the movie was probably close to 10 years old now, which that movie got so much shit. I do not understand what people want, because that movie is it is the show. It's 3 episodes of the show. It's the best version that
Yeah,
movie could have been.
I didn't have a problem with the movie. I just think it was kind of forgettable. I think people were expecting it to be a little bit more extreme, but instead it really was a continuation. So if you were a fan, I don't think people were really upset. I think it's just the people
Yeah.
outside of the fan base were expecting maybe something a bit more movie-like and less like a TV series, but I thought it
For
was
me,
fine.
it was a show that, again, like, moments in your life you'll never forget. I'll never forget I think it was season 6 finale when Eminem comes on. I was getting ready to
Mhm.
go and see the first time I was going to see him in concert. I've been a lifelong diehard Eminem fan. I was going to go to the Bronx with my family to go see the Home and Home tour, him and Jay-Z. That was a legendary moment. Of course, he's on my favorite show doing the best cameo ever. Like, that was an amazing moment. And then being able to go and see the movie at the ArcLight in LA was huge, because I watched that show all of my teenage years up through high school. Now I'm living in LA pursuing my dream, and I'm seeing the movie in where the opening credits are. Like, it just was like a lot of life imitating art that was really dope for me. But they were super great from everything I heard from people, and I would have loved an opportunity just to talk with the Stranger Things cast more, just because the Netflix family, it
Yeah.
just gives you an end, just to say, you never know who you could know, because I know people in the scripted world as well as unscripted. And God bless all those kids, man, because they have done very well for themselves, and hopefully they are smart with their money.
Well, much like you, I was a little bummed out because who I was looking forward to see the most were the Back to the Future cast members, and I was not there Thursday to, again, Cody Leach off of Cody Leach. I
Mhm.
think you ponied up for that photo
Oh,
shoot, and
By the way, I have to thank Cody again, because this
yeah,
man just was able. This man, there is nothing Cody Leach cannot do. He is a husband. He is a father. He is a YouTuber. He is a master chef. And then somehow in this crazy convention, he's like, "Yo, you ready? We got pictures with Thelma and Louise. We got back." I'm like, Cody Leach, my God, like, this man, he set up everything. He made me look so cool to my family with that Back to the Future picture, and that was all Cody Leach. Get hats off to Cody Leach all day long.
yeah,
Not only
those
that,
guys.
I got to be like part-time escort for Joey as we're walking around trying to find like tables every 5 seconds. Like, are
Oh,
you
yo,
Joey? And I'm
I
like, I'll take
completely
the
forgot
picture.
about this. My boy Clint, who got us in for the Stranger Things picture, mad quick.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah,
awesome.
that was hilarious. So with these photo shoots, you can have up to 4 people join your party. So Cody got those guys into the Back to the Future shoot on Thursday, and I didn't go down until Friday. And I noticed there's only 3 people in that photo, so I could have been in that photo, which made me even more annoyed. Like,
I expected you to be until Sean's like, Adam's not here till tomorrow, and I was like, wah, wah,
I
wah.
should have drove down earlier. I didn't
Mm.
know, and that's on me. But I'm very happy for you guys, and definitely not bitter about it at all. Cody did step up though on that Stranger Things. We got who were the 2 young men, the 2 young gentlemen we were with? Do you remember their
Finn
names?
Wolfhard and Gaten Matazaro, I believe is his last name.
I had you say because I can never say it. I know Finn
Mike and
Wolfhard, but
Dustin.
yeah, there you go, Mike and Dustin. That
Mm.
was a shoot where it kind of works like the fast pass system now at Disney, where you have to get in a virtual queue after you get a spot. So Cody bought the photos, and then they said you have to get in line at this time, which was like 3 or 4 o'clock. So we get in the line, and then it was a long line, so we would have probably waited there a good hour. And because Joey knows every freaking person on the planet, he just happened to run into a guy as we were in line right away. And the guy's like, "Oh, you can come into the VIP section." And Cody's like, "What?" And Joey goes, "Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. We're all going." And so
And 3 of us are like, are we about to get in trouble? Are we going to get kicked out of the con?
it felt like
Nope.
another Uber. It
Yeah.
felt like another Uber situation. I don't think we can fit, but yeah,
Yeah.
we went past all of them and got in right away. And what a magical experience. You go in there, the 2 guys who look like they're about 3 feet tall and 10 years old, they're perfectly nice. I think we didn't talk to them. They're like, boom, you're in, smile, and then you're out. I think
Mhm.
Cody said, "I like you guys."
Yeah. I always say something. I got in a lot of trouble the last year. We got this I can't take it down from the wall, but we got a picture with the whole screencast plus Henry Winkler. And that was my first photo op. So like ignorant me, I'm thinking, oh, this costs like $700. Obviously they're gonna let us speak. No, you get there and they're literally like, next pop. And so I'm standing there and the woman's like, okay, right in front of Matthew, there is an X. You're going to stand there. You're going to look at the camera. It's going to pop. Then you're going to lead through the exit door. Okay. Yes, ma'am. So next I go up, I face the camera. Matthew Lillard grabs my shoulder and pops off to the side, which for a second, I'm like, Matthew Lillard touching my shoulders is pretty awesome. Yeah. And then they pop the photo and immediately I turn around to Jamie Kennedy and I'm like, you've been X'd. And he goes, yes. And they're like, leave. And so the security was like, I said like 3 words and they're like, you're breaking the rules. So no matter what, you
back and just kicked the shit out of you.
No matter what, I get my moments. Yeah. Whenever we got up next to the 2 stranger kids, I went over to Gate and I was like, this would be a good spot for one of your prank encounters. And he's like, yeah, it would be. And then they popped the picture and my stomach was in knots after me and Joey took the picture with Thelma and Louise, because as fast as they always are, this was like hyperdrive to where the person in front of us, like maybe 3 people in front of us, there was these 2 guys that actually stopped and was talking with Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis for like
they had the look on their face like, yes, I have to smile, yes, but like, when are they gonna like move, like get them the fuck out? And we're just like, we don't want to be those guys. Like, you don't want to be those guys.
So we literally walk up and I stand on the X and I said, how you doing, ladies? And as I turn this way, like as my head hits this spot, the flash goes off. Yeah. And I was like, oh fuck. And then I go to walk out and like me and Joey are walking and like he's like, that was cool. And I'm like, dude, I think I blinked. Like, I don't even think I was looking at the camera. And so I asked the lady, I'm like, if this picture is fucked, can I take another one? Like a lot of money. And she goes, oh yeah, just get back in line. So luckily it turned out great. They must
back
be
in
like,
line, the line's like way gone. You never getting in.
Well, no, like, yeah, get right back to the curtain line, luckily. But they must be like that woman who was taking the picture must have been like the Terminator, because I'm telling you, like, as soon as my eyes locked with the camera, she said, pop next. And
I still can't believe it turned out like that, man. And I'm someone who's done so many conventions. I've never done photo ops before, and it is very impressive how it's a convention within a convention. It is so many people, and it is an assembly line. Like they are moving you. They got everything. They got the frames to get your stuff right then and there. It was really dope, and I thought it was kind of dope in retrospect that Gaten and Finn were just standing there with us because other people were not. You know what I mean? Like that was cool. They didn't have any sort of barrier whatsoever, which is nice.
Yeah, it was especially cool when me and Sean jumped in to get the From Dusk Till Dawn photos. So it was Juliette Lewis and Danny Trejo, because that was the only line where me and Sean were among like 10 people that paid for that photo op. And so that, among the fact that Juliette and especially Danny, you just expect them to probably be among the more humble people in Hollywood. And so they actually, like, that was loose, and that was like, we got to shake their hand and kind of get into position and joke around for a few seconds. And I put my arm around Juliette and she's like, oh, I guess we're getting in close. And my dad's like, at least 5 times, because I got a picture signed for him. That's his woman. He's like, "Why got your hands on my woman?" And I'm like, I took my shot, man. So
I took my shot.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna jump through these last couple super chats quick. This is from Master Sergeant for $50 damn. This guy was awesome. Woo! All 2023 has been a huge supporter. Thank you, Master Sergeant. Excuse the absence. Been dealing with clients who can't quite get the simple. Don't even know what you and your bearded dude are talking about. This was from a lot earlier in the stream. But the Adam show must survive. The world needs your just enjoy some shit attitude. Thank you, sir. Always awesome. Appreciate it. And the bearded dude is Cody. We got Joey. We got Sean. Joey's starting a YouTube channel. I don't think he's done it yet, but
you can go subscribe. I have an existing account that somehow has almost 2,000 followers that I did shorts on and whatnot. But yeah, dude, I'm just gonna start dropping some stuff on there as we speak. Cody finally started watching the Premiere Pro tutorial videos today since I've been in bed, because I've been using CapCut, which, you know, is very well pushed on TikTok. But my God, I have to learn the Premiere Pro world, and it is a lot. For those of you watching, you might not be that surprised. I am not the most technologically advanced, smart human out there. I tend to be the guy that says, put the camera on me, don't let me operate the camera. So we're getting ahead in life. 2024 is going to be interesting moving forward.
It's a lot, Premiere, but it's very much just aggressive. There's only really like 3 things you need to know how to do, and once you get those down, you just need to know the cut tool.
It's the
cut,
Swiss
delete.
It's the Swiss Army knife, and you just need the knife.
Exactly. I just need to learn how to randomly push in on myself at weird times, and I'll be happy. So I'm gonna learn that eventually. We'll see what happens. Yeah,
that's right. Okay, impressive Tony. He was at the Megacon event. $4.99. Thank you, sir. Hey, fellas, this is the guy I hung out with Sean on Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was great hanging with you all. Thanks for being willing to give small timers like me the time of day. It really means a lot. You're not a small timer, Tony. You're just getting started on YouTube. It takes a million years to get even like a decent following. So, and as Joey will tell you, entertainment in general can take half of your life to even get started. So
it takes a very long time, Tony. You're doing great, buddy.
Thank you, bud.
Yeah, spent the day hanging out with him Friday. That was fun. Yeah, talk with him over the internet and finally got to hang out in real life.
That's awesome.
All right, we had very expensive salad from the hotel gift store.
Yeah,
very
by the way,
salad.
the prices at Megacon and everywhere around there were Disney/Universal Studios prices. It was like $10 for a fruit parfait at a coffee shop. It was a good parfait. Sean, who not only acts like a child after a certain amount of time and doesn't really know how to adult at all, also eats like a 6-year-old, which I found out as he's eating fucking.
He's got a dum-dum in his mouth right now.
This guy, I don't know how you're. I don't know how you live.
So
how are you living right now?
Chicken fingers the other day. He really did.
He had we woke up and we're walking the panel and he's got a Coke that's like a third full. I go, where did that come from? Have you been nursing that Coke for 48 hours? He's like, yeah. What's the problem? At midnight, he was popping Pringles in his mouth. What is wrong with you, sir?
Yeah. The story I'll always remember about Sean and his taste, and when I realized this was he was going to be in a different world when I started cooking, is when he came to Georgia, and the first thing he gets is like one of those like really awful special edition Cokes where it's like Coke Universe Black Edition or whatever. And I'm like, what is that? And he takes a sip and he's like, I think it's licorice, or it's some awful flavor. He somehow finishes it. And later on during the vacation, like maybe 2 or 3 days later, we end up in an In-N-Out Mart again, and he gets another one. And I was like, you said it was awful. And he just gets another one.
Well, at one point he offered us mints, and then he dropped one on the ground at Megacon, and he's like, 5-second rule. I'm like, yeah, but 130,000 people just stepped on this. And then I thought, what has he been offering me that has dropped on the ground and he just put back? Anyway, we were
waiting in line for the picture. Also, I'd been just popping mints like an addict, and then you fed me fries and had a mouthful of mints. You're like, what's up, fries? So I'm eating fries and mints at the same time.
Double fisting different types of foods. Oh my God. So he got a fruit parfait, which I think might be the first time he's ever had fruit in his life, but he doesn't know how to use it because they put the nuts on top and it's a tray and you pour it in. And he's like, what is this? He didn't really understand. I go, okay, here's how it works, Sean. You take this out, then you just pour it in. And it was like a nice teaching moment, I think, for both of us. A lot of good bonding. Okay, we got one off the beaten path. Tony Movie Chappie.
Tony D9. Movie Chappie. We missed you this year.
Neil Blom. This is all a name. Tony Movie Chappie D9. Neil Blomkamp.
Just call him Tony Chappie. That's what we call him. Tony Chappie.
Tony Movie Chappie. Yeah. We met him at Megacon the last 2 years, but he wasn't there this year.
I feel comfortable calling him the entire name every single time. $4.99 super chat. Thoughts on Argyle bombing at the box office with a $200 million budget. I didn't realize it bombed at the box office. When it happens, it happens. I don't know. It doesn't surprise me. It looked like a very quirky movie just from the trailer. It's Matthew Vaughn. He does not appeal to, I don't think, a mass amount of people. He's very hit or miss. And with that big of a budget, yeah, it's a tough sell for anyone. It's a new property. It had a very weird vibe in that. And I like that trailer a lot, but I could see why it bombed.
I
No
didn't
question.
see anything from the trailer or anything, but yeah, to piggyback on what you said, look at man, it's really hard to put asses in seats today. We
Yeah.
know that. I mean, it breaks my heart that every person in my life that's not a film person is like, I don't want to go to the theater, and I'm like, stop it. And then you got my sister
Mhm.
who's like, I'm a mom, I have kids, I'm home. It's impossible to get to the theater. So while all of us love the theater and want things to continue to be open, obviously, I do think that I try to find the positive about things like streaming, and that to me is where a film like Argyle can really thrive and find an audience that's going to watch it on a Friday or Saturday. Where I personally don't know his deal. I don't know if that's with Warner's or I
It's
think he does a lot.
Apple. It's an
It's
Apple
oh,
Yeah, it's
movie.
Apple.
Which is
okay,
even
yeah.
more
See,
funny that you say that because Apple is the streaming service, but they put it in the theaters
well,
first.
they're getting ready to open Apple Cinemas. I don't know if you guys know about that, which is going to be a
Hmm.
sort of a new chain, and it makes sense just because they're in that business now for
Mhm.
things like,
Sure.
let's say, award season. We know it has to play theatrically. It used to be, let's put it in a couple theaters in LA so film nerds like me will go, and then put it online. But yeah, I'm not huge on Matthew Vaughn. I've liked a few of his things, but that's $200 million. That's
That's a
a
lot of
lot.
money.
It's a
Yeah.
lot of money for a film like that, to where you have to question again. Okay, probably at least 100 was put into P&A, so you got to hit 300 mil to just break even, let's say, and shoot
And word
above
of
that.
mouth,
Just
word of mouth is not going to help that movie either because on the trailer you put the stars like Dua Lipa and you got Superman Henry Cavill, and they're only in the movie for 5 minutes. People are
I
going to find that
mean,
out and they're going to bounce.
that's the thing, right? With
Yeah.
streaming, to where I'm surprised more filmmakers don't embrace it from the standpoint of, if you're a director, the stakes
Mhm.
are high at all points in time, especially as being a director. You're gonna get put in movie jail if you flop. You could make the best movie of the year. It could be considered a classic. If it didn't make money, you are screwed. So I'm surprised more filmmakers are not aiming for streaming in a larger capacity, just because even if it bombs, those numbers are hidden. It still looks like you are killing it because you have a new big budget release on a streamer that's worldwide. So hats off to Matthew Vaughn and his team for making a $200 million film. That's a huge accomplishment. I'm sure it's a rough start to the week for them, but hopefully the film can find a life after its theatrical run is
No
over.
doubt. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that does anything to his new deal with Kick-Ass, because I know he was going to be doing a new Kick-Ass trilogy. Hopefully it doesn't, salt that.
But
Uh,
yeah, I mean, I think 200
yeah.
million for that movie was always an insane budget. Could
Mhm.
never be profitable on that. I mean, it's just there's no way to justify that quirky of a movie, that genre. There's no history that would make it that number make any sense.
Right.
Uh, Slight other side to it. It is designed as an exclusive for Apple TV. So I don't think it's quite as one-to-one of it has to make all of its money in one place.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's also no way of spinning. You spent $200 million and
Yeah,
that's
and
that's
Apple's
a
been
big hole.
they've been losing a lot of money on these exclusives too. They did Killers of the Flower Moon, which I'm pretty sure
Hmm.
kind of bombed at the box office. And to your point
Once
on
again,
that,
because of the $200 million budget. Yep.
right? But I think to your point, there's pedigree there with that. It's an Oscar-winning film. It's got all these Academy Award-winning actors. But with Matthew Vaughn's movie, I don't know the play. Is it to drive people to Apple Plus? Would people even drive there for that? Because you didn't make it an exclusive. It was still in theaters. I don't know. It remains to be seen what some of these things mean at the end of the day.
I
But
think
yeah,
Apple is just throwing money at directors to try and get talent.
Mhm.
And it's like they did it with the Russos and Cherry, Scorsese, now this. And
yeah.
because they sell enough phones, they're able to do that. But their actual films aren't profitable.
Right. Right. They're doing the Netflix thing from years ago. They're just going to
Yep.
throw everything at the wall, see what sticks. Shane Lee, 88 for $5. Thank you, Shane Lee. Hi, guys. Sounds like an awesome time. I've never been. We're in Indiana, about 2 hours from Chicago, so I'll have to see if any cool cons are coming up. I'm sure Sean, I think, is the con guy. I don't know if Cody is the one that, like, do you do any of that stuff, or is it really Sean that kind of talks to the folks?
Sean's been all over the place as far as traveling to do the cons. I've only been to Megacon the last 3 years, but I'm kind of trying to broaden my horizons. I'm going to Mad Monster in North Carolina next weekend.
Oh, nice.
Assuming that we continue our working relationship with Chuck now that he's moved, he's brought up a totally separate con that is not just Orlando, it's all over the place. So very possible that I'll start to travel around more, but Megacon's my only experience so far.
If there's one in Indiana, you'll hear it from one of these guys. I don't, at this point in time, I'm just, if I get invited by one of these two fools or Joey, if he's doing them, I will gladly go, but I'm not like actively looking at any of that stuff. Owen Menning for $5. Thank you, Owen. Hey, I'm a fan of everyone here. I was wondering if you all had a movie from 2023 that you enjoyed, but most people didn't. Oof.
I feel like that's most things, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like most people don't enjoy anything for the most part. That's literally all I ever hear is everything sucks. Not even talking about online, just like in general, no one's ever happy with anything. So I have to really think on that.
Well, if we gauge it off, say, an aggregate like Rotten Tomatoes, I think The Boys in the Boat was a rotten overall, or it was just barely fresh if it was. I really like that movie. That was a top 10 for me. And I know it's kind of a lame cliche film, but when we live in a world where everything is trying to be so extreme and look at me and different, I thought The Boys in the Boat was an awesome 80s, 90s callback to just dudes putting in the work and fighting for their school and getting it done. It's based on a true story. It was incredibly inspirational. And I'm a sucker for a based on a true story. I think that was one that was kind of shat on because it was just kind of paint by numbers, but I don't know. I'm a sucker for it.
I didn't really have one that was like hot take level, but one that I noticed was significantly higher on my like end of year ranking than pretty much anybody else that I saw was Infinity Pool, which was Brandon Cronenberg's new movie. He's David Cronenberg's son. His last movie, Possessor, kind of got a lot of festival attention. Infinity Pool 2023 ended up being one of those years where there was so many just bland, meaningless blockbuster experiences that I tended to gravitate more by the end of the year to movies that made me feel something, like Iron Claw, or made me think, or stuck with me in some way. And Infinity Pool just really stuck with me with how clever it was with discussing like the lack of accountability of the elite, and just a really wacky, wild, macabre concept to kind of discuss that. So I dug that one more than most people did.
It's one of the few ones I didn't see this last. I'll have to check it out. It's on my list. Sean, you got one?
I mean, I guess I'll go with one that's pretty mainstream, but The Flash. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, it certainly had its fans. I mean, I had it in my top 10, and a bunch of people had it in their bottom 10. A lot of people just felt it was very mid. And some of that I get. Some of that I feel was, they didn't want to support Ezra Miller. Fair enough. Some of it I think is people locking in on the superficial, like the VFX were terrible, but that's one element of a film. It's inexcusable at that budget, but it's just one element. But as I've said in my reviews and many other times, I latched onto the story. My dad died when I was 20, so a story about someone with the power to save someone that died in the past, that's compelling and interesting in a way that just resonated with me. And then Batman 89, that was my Batman. As the first movie I really remember seeing in the theater as so much of my childhood. So the nostalgia worked, and I connect with the actual plot for it. So yeah, that's the one for me.
I think it's dope, Sean, when again people noticeably shit on something and you're the dude who's like, I liked it just because I liked it. There's no, you had reasons for it, but again, it does become just a popular thing to shit on things. But let me ask you guys, was Pearl 2023?
2.
Yeah. It was 2022? Okay.
X and Pearl came out the same year, believe it or not.
Which is wild.
It was that long ago?
It doesn't feel like 2022 was that far away, but yeah, it was wild to think of some movies, and I was like,
Pearl was pretty late in the year, though, right? That was close to the end of the year.
I can't remember. That's why I was asking, because I saw Pearl at like a not a friends and family screening, but like a like industry friends type screening. I have a friend who works at A24, and they invited me to this hotel in West Hollywood for a screening, and it was probably Cody, I think I was texting you, right? Was I texting you at that time?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that it was
Yeah,
about 2 or 3 weeks out from release.
Pearl was mid-September, so it was decently late in the year.
Yeah, I mean, Pearl just comes to mind because I feel like I didn't hear a lot about that besides people who really love film, and that was a real surprise. I thought Ty West was made some really interesting choices in taking it in such a different direction than he did X, and that monologue that Mia Goth has is just
Yeah.
is just amazing. And that oneer he does with the chasing the girl from the house. And I walked up to him after the screening because I mean, but he was like ready. He was rehearsed and ready, knowing the questions people were going to ask. He was like 6 takes. We did 6 takes. We had 6 takes. I was like, oh, 6 takes. All right, that answers that. Well, have a good night, man. Nice to meet you. But yeah, Pearl was one that I think is going to get a lot of love down the road when people find that movie. That was fucking great.
Yeah, especially if Maxine hits.
Yeah, Maxine, I mean, look, who knows what to expect at this point, but I just feel like he's really leaning into the eras he's taking his stories in. So I'm hoping for a sweaty, sleazy, grimy 80s,
Mm-hmm.
80s, whatever type of film he's going to give us. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I can't wait. That's my most anticipated so far.
And last one here from Colin Williams, $4.99. Thank you, Colin. Never would have expected this crew paired with Joey. Loved him on The Circle. What in the multiverse is this? I love it. I think we all do.
Colin was the one that told me I had to invite you, Adam, and then we did not see him at the convention. And it turns out he also missed out on you, Joey. He would have been excited for that too.
Thank you,
I gave Colin everything he wanted.
Nice. Colin, Sean did everything for you. You let him. You
everything for you personally, Colin, and then you didn't show up.
Sean's out in the rain. He slit his wrist. He's like, Colin! He just pulled down the shades and went to bed, man. All right. Thank you guys for the super chats. I don't even remember where we were at on our.
We were just starting Saturday.
It was just starting Saturday. Okay, so Saturday, Cody's on no sleep thanks to the guy below me.
I know what you're talking about.
I remember waking him up and I was like, "Hey, I'm getting ready to leave because I was gonna get there for the first panel." And I was like, "You don't have to be there until 4." And he's like, "All right, just go."
That's right. So yes, they got no sleep. Old man Sean and old man Adam are already cooked on Saturday night. I think we were both laying in our separate beds at like 8:30, and Sean's like, "Oh, what I like to do now is just watch Impractical Jokers for a couple hours and fall asleep." And that's exactly what we did. We just watched. Went to bed. Sean's passed out because of all the sugar he's had and everything else, and yeah, it was fine. It was a fine
Pringles
night.
Poured on my face.
Yeah, he got Pringles all over. A dog from outside came in and ate it off his chest and walked out. And so we get, oh my God. So we get up and get going, and we have the first panel. Sean had a panel at 10, the Stranger Things panel.
And another thing about Saturday is I did like 4 hours straight of meet and greet. So he did the panel, 4 hours of meet and greet. My voice was already shot Saturday morning from screaming on all the roller coasters Friday night. And so I'm dying, and we have 2 more panels the next day.
Wait, Cody, did you say the Stranger Things one was Sunday?
Yeah, Saturday's the only day that we had one. We did the comic book movie Bubble Burst.
Yeah. You're again the most responsible one, and you remember the most out of all of us. All right, so Saturday we just had was it 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock? I don't even remember. 4 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Everything I say is incorrect. I don't know why anybody watches my channel. 1 o'clock we had the comic book thing. Before that, I don't actually know what the hell I was doing or what anybody was doing. We just kind of wandering around the mean streets of Megacon. Did you guys have anything to add before the panel happened?
No, not before. That's where I had the plan to show up to just pounce on Keith David's table before anybody was allowed inside. And then, we had our very early morning bedtime. And so I showed up, 30, 40 minutes before the panel started. That was the beginning of my day.
That's right. So the panel, that was the comic book one where Sean, this was fantastic. So so Bevan is there. I really like this lady, first of all. She's with Tubi, I guess. She has a show coming out called beverages with Bevan. So that's what they're pushing. And apparently she was supposed to be on a bunch of panels, but got bumped or they didn't work out. So then Chuck asked Sean if she could just randomly be in his. And so the comic book one, she was also set to just kind of show up in. And so Sean halfway through bumps me from the panel. I have to leave, like this sad little pathetic thing. She comes out and then Sean's like, okay, you can come back now. You come back. It was kind of a weird dynamic, but it worked. It worked out. And that panel was, well, I would say the horror one was more fun, but that was actually really fun, that panel. And we had a lot of people show up. Every single one
that was
of the
biggest
panels,
day at the con, significantly bigger than the other 3.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God. Saturday was a shit show. You couldn't even walk around in that place. And every panel was filled, and we had people kind of like lined up in a half moon around it, which was just fantastic. What happened after that? I blacked out somewhere along this.
After that, we pretty much just we did our meet and greets. I don't think Sean was allowed to move because that was his premiere panel. And so me, you, and Joey were there like chatting for a bit, and Film Stock was there for a bit, and then he went off with his girlfriend, and then.
Oh, that's right. I met the youth of today. So the young movie critics that are kind of rising up, well, kind of. Some of them are way more famous than us on TikTok. And Andrew, this kid was so freaking talented. He's in his mid-20s, I think. He does a lot of TikToks and YouTube shorts, and he has a podcast, and he knows magic. So he's just did you see this, Cody and Joey? I don't think you saw this stuff.
I didn't. I heard about it third party through you, and I didn't see any of it. I recognize him from TikTok, though.
Find where the video is. I want to post that on one of my channels.
I filmed it. I'll send it to you. Just remind me. So we're standing around. Sean has a line of like 20 people that want to talk to him. And I'm talking to these 3 young kids, and I feel like the oldest person in the world, but we're having a good rapport. And Andrew out of nowhere just busts out a deck of cards, and he's one-handed shuffling them, and he's like, hey, I'll do some tricks. And my mind is completely blown. It's leaking out of my ears. So I force him to kind of like show Sean it, and we film it, and it was fantastic. And then I realized that Sean is never going to leave the table, and he's there until 7:45, I think, and it's only like 4:45. So I just kind of leave and I start making my way around. And one of the fans of my channel, Jan Rose, who's awesome, and I met her just a few weeks ago with her husband, Jonathan. She's like, hey, you want to grab dinner? And I'm like, this is perfect. This couldn't have been more perfect. And I kept once in a while looking at my phone to see if Sean remembered me, and nothing was happening. Nothing was happening. And then right on cue at 7:45, he's like, where are you? Like he got done out of his creator mode, and he's like, oh shit, where's Adam? Is he lost?
Well, it was a topic of conversation between me and Sean because we didn't know where you went, and he's like, I hope he like enjoyed himself. And then he gets back to the hotel, and Sean's like, well, his stuff is still here, so I guess he didn't just like say, these guys, I'm out.
They blew out of Dodge.
Yeah.
It's like, we offended you somehow, like we don't know, and you're like very volatile, or like, he didn't thank me 2 times after the panel, and I'm out of here. I'm not coming back for Sunday.
Me for Bevan.
Yeah, I thought we were having a good time. I don't know what the hell happened. No,
I made a beeline straight for Juliette Lewis's table because my convention staple is that every single one that I go to, I bring back one autograph for my father because he's the one that got me into movies, just as much of a movie fan. Well, maybe not quite as much. I've taken it to a psycho level, but he's the one that got me into movies, and a lot of our favorite movies are the same. And so every year, I always kind of give him a rundown of who's going to be there. And I can usually tell by the way he perks up by one of them. This year, by a landslide, I said, Juliette Lewis, ooh, that's my girl. And I was like, well, that's an easy decision. So I beelined to her table to make sure I got an autograph for him. And that was pretty cool. Told her about how I saw From Dusk Till Dawn. My dad took me when I was 6 years old, and she had a big reaction to that. And Ethan Supley, oddly enough, is her brother-in-law, which I knew, but she's talking to me, and then he comes up and he's like, I'm leaving, I'll see you later. So they go off and have a sidebar conversation while I patiently wait and be like, this is cool. Meanwhile, Coy, who's a guy that we know who's standing by Sean, does all these panel interviews, comes up while they're doing that, and he's just like, having a good con? Like, he's waiting for like Carrie Elways or something.
Yeah, perfectly.
I catch him in the corner of my eye, and he sees me. He's just like, He just does this little head bob. He's like, how's it going? What are you waiting for?
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
And so
I guess this was right before he got pulled into Carrie Elway's tent. So he told us that little story.
I had no idea that Ethan Suplee and Juliette Lewis that was his brother-in-law, sister-in-law? Like that?
Yeah, Ethan Suplee is married to Juliette Lewis's sister.
No shit. Never knew that. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
I knew that because every time I get into one of these lines, I always pull up like Wikipedia and I always try to find some obscure movie that I know nobody else is going to talk about. Because you don't want to be the 10,000th person and be like, I loved you in Back to the Future. It's like, yeah, you and everybody else. Next.
Right.
So I always try to find.
What did you say to I always forget her name. Sons of Anarchy actress.
Oh, Katie Sagal.
Katie Sagal. Yeah. What was
Smart House.
Smart House. Yeah. I loved you in Smart House.
Dude, Smart House is a fucking gem. Anyone who is out there, if you got Disney Plus, go down the Disney Channel original movie Wormhole. Smart House is definitely in the top. It is fantastic.
I love your straight to TV, straight to cable movie for kids, Smart House. That's amazing.
It was awesome. That's genuinely the truth. I didn't even have to search for that one. I knew when I got there. I'm like,
Smart House literally predicted the future without realizing, because there are many smart homes today. So they are way ahead of the curve.
I mean, I did watch Smart House. I've seen it. It's a
I was severely disappointed. I was disappointed. See, for those that haven't been to a con, when you go up to somebody's table, they have a collection of photographs that you can use for autographs unless you bring your own. And it's basically, usually a greatest hits of their career. And so I figured, obviously Smart House is going to be on there. Nowhere to be found. It's nowhere to be found. No, I was so disappointed.
The disrespect to Smart House is wild.
I ended up getting Gemma because that's very easy second choice there. But it was basically Sons of Anarchy or Married with Children. She's signing my picture, and I was like, I love you for Sons of Anarchy, big fan. My father's a big fan. My wife's a big fan. But you are royalty in my household as Pat from Smart House. And she's like, oh, really? Yeah, that's really cool. And I could hear Adam laughing because he's standing next to me. And he's just like, he really fucking did it.
I cannot believe you said that. Like, this is insane. Because again, I'm just the fish next to Cody, getting close to the celebrities. And not 5 feet from me, I could have reached out and touched her, Marissa Tomei, just standing there, just in all her beautiful glory. And it was just sad being right next to her, but I couldn't say anything,
Did it look like she had because you guys obviously were walking around later? Did it look like she had like a lot of people?
Marissa didn't, shockingly. Like when we were there and we only had enough time for one, and so me and Adam, I was like, well, I'll get in Katie Sagal's line because it either looks like she's getting ready to wrap up or she hasn't gotten started yet. They were like literally putting the plexiglass up for Marissa, and she had like 3 people moseying around her line. And then so there was no line there that time. And then she was my last one that I tried to get when me, Adam, and Joey were walking around on Sunday, and they were already packing her shit up 2 hours before the con. And the guy Corey, who came and talked with all of us basically after every panel, said that her line looked like it was kind of dead by comparison most of the time, which is kind of surprising.
I mean, it's hard though, right? Because a lot of people have audiences that make sense for a convention, a convention like this. But I mean, you're talking Marissa Tomei. She's a classy actress, for a real classy actress. And that, I get the Spider-Man thing is the thing that gets her there, but it can be hard to make that translate to, to everyone.
That's so funny. Sure. I completely forgot about Spider-Man. I don't even think about her when it comes, I think of my cousin Vinny and all of her other films. Not
of course.
Hilarious. Yeah. Okay, so that was Saturday. I have no idea what's happening. Sean, that's when we watched our Impractical Jokers.
Yeah. You skipped ahead. That's why I tried to rewind, and then Cody got us back on track. But you tried to skip straight to the Impractical Jokers, me eating candy all night long, eating a whole bag of gummy bears.
I love that Sean has become this Impractical Jokers person too, because I indoctrinated him into that club.
He told me that you introduced him to Impractical Jokers, because I too had no idea what it was. So really, you turned 2 people onto Impractical Jokers.
I had 2 priorities when he stayed with me: is that Sean's going to watch The Lost Boys for the first time, and Sean's going to watch Rudderless, which was a movie I've been trying to get him to watch.
You've never seen The Lost Boys
until 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
And Adam this morning.
Joey, saxophone.
I watched it this morning for the first time.
How?
I know.
Like,
I know.
Wait, okay, this is impressive. What did you think?
I loved it.
It's great, right?
I
Like it's
truly
so
loved
good.
it. I mean, obviously it's schlocky, it's campy, but I like that stuff. I'm a huge fan of the Goonies. It reminded me of the Goonies. Kiefer's great in this. I like how he keeps repeating the character's name, Michael, over. It was like, Michael, what are you doing, Michael? Where are you going, Michael? Like, you know his name.
Kiefer Sutherland really had a thing. Like I always talk about when I was a kid watching movies, it's my favorite period of life because movies, like they felt exactly like the filmmakers wanted you to feel when watching them. Like you buy everything.
Yeah.
Kiefer Sutherland was just the scariest human as through my eyes because every movie he was the villain. I mean, you look at Lost Boys or Stand By Me and you're like, he looks like a psychopath.
Yeah.
So
like
I
he's
just
gonna do some shit. Yeah.
I wish I could have watched that movie with you today for the first time. That's my
Oh, it was
favorite
fun.
thing is my girl hasn't seen a lot of movies, so I show her a lot, and it's more fun to be able to watch it with her just because she's taking it in for the first time.
Yeah, you watch them more than you watch the movie. I mean, that's that. I think we can all agree that that's the best part about having kids is you introduce them to the movies that you love, and you just kind of peek over when you know, like me with you on the ride when I waved to you because I'm so excited for you to experience it. And Lost Boys was a lot of fun. Corey Feldman, so good in that. I love how his voice is deeper in that film. He's like, hey, we gotta go kill the vampires. It's great.
Joel Schumacher is an exact quote because I saw like some behind the scenes stuff. He literally told him, he's like, that was really good. Now I want you to butch it up.
Did he say that? That's great.
Yeah, so that's where you get the gravelly, like the American way.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So good. Yeah, Lost Boys, that was a fun way to start the morning. I'm gonna try to do that more often and just kick into gear with the movie I haven't seen. Taxi Driver's on my list. That's one of the other like
what?
Yeah, that's one of like I've seen Scarface, Godfather, but Taxi Driver's one that I've just never seen, and I got it on my list for this year for sure.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. Your life is gonna get so much better this year. That's great.
So many references I will be able to appreciate now.
That's where you talking to me came from?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I did know that. But Master Sergeant, we got one more from him. $5. Thank you, Master Sergeant. I'll be here for 2024. Keep blasting trash and loving film while secretly harboring the greatest of Zack Snyder in your heart. Yes, it is a deep secret, very deep secret. Again, I will always respect his beautiful 300. 300 to me was a phenomenal movie that was so different than anything else. Dawn of the Dead is great, one of the better remakes that ever came out. And then from there, it's just kind of a steady downhill decline, in my opinion. But there's still some decent stuff in the mix. We got one more from Perm for $10. Thank you, Perm, a big supporter of the channel. Sup, guys? Just wanted to join in on the fun here. Having a great time listening to the stories. Wish I could have been a fly on the wall. Please share any of the funny side stories and highlights. Yeah, we're doing it as long as I can remember Saturdays.
Adam, I got one for this. Okay,
let's hear it. Let's hear it.
We do our panel the other day. Now, mind you, I am the guy that's just like, just throw me up there, tell me what we're doing.
This is the horror panel you're talking about?
Yeah, this is the horror panel, and you know, I know we're just gonna have fun. Everyone's good people, everything, and you know how you guys got off, me and Cody then battled, and then we got off. You guys went on. Yeah, for the hot takes.
Oh my God. Remind me when Joey's done because I'll forget that I have a great Sean Chandler story from Hot Takes if Joey doesn't do it.
So I'm sitting there and I've been looking at Adam. Me and you had been going back and forth on stage having a great time. And I'm sitting there, I'm talking to Cody and I go, where the fuck do I know Adam from? I've seen his face many times. And he's like, he's a YouTuber, Joe. You probably still say, "Oh fuck, that's where I know him from." It never dawned on me once that I'm with Cody and Sean. I was like, Adam probably does YouTube because I didn't know Victoria and I just met her. So I'm like, I don't know what's happening, and I've realized I have been watching your reviews for quite a long time.
Oh, that's awesome.
There is a difference when you see someone in person. They do register different in your mind. Like, does everyone know that Cody Leach is 7'2"? You would never know it, but he's a very tall man.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I think every single person that knew us said, like, did you guys know you're really tall? No, never heard that.
The camera takes away about 1.5 feet.
The funniest thing from the hot takes was, and Joey had the greatest reaction to my hot take, which was just for fun, but Sean presented it. He said, I want you guys to each give me a movie you want to see remade. And I picked Battlefield Earth, notoriously one of the worst films of all time. terrible story. It's just bad. It's just bad. And Joey was louder than anyone. He's like, how fucking dare you? That movie's trash. There's no way to make it good. I said, Joey, can I finish? The director is Christopher Nolan. The main actor is Leonardo DiCaprio. And Joey goes, holy shit, I want that movie now. I never seen someone turn the corner.
I just never even imagined anything close to greatness associated with that film. Now, side note, Quentin Tarantino apparently has been a huge Battlefield Earth defender since it came out. He's like, get it 2 years. Everyone's gonna. I don't know what the fuck he sees, but my God, that movie starring DiCaprio from Nolan, what would it be?
Yeah, well,
it would be fantastic. I want to see it.
But then Sean somehow ups the ante with the worst take, not only of the panel, but of the complete Megacon existence. He goes, all right, I think it's time. We have the technology. I want to see a Back to the Future remake. Everyone's pissed. There's not a smile in the room. A woman in the front row goes, the original cast is right over there. And you have to remember, there's people wearing Marty McFly vests. They're all excited to see the cast. And Sean has the audacity to say remake.
Well, the added layer of audacity. It's like, yeah, we know they're there. We literally were behind them 24 hours ago.
Yeah, it's so good.
You got to give Sean Chandler respect where it's deserved because look, I'm the guy who knows when the crowd's going to turn on me. It could affect me just a little bit. This man kept a smile on his face and doubled down that this movie needs a remake. Do I understand it? No. Does anyone else? No. But in his sweet little heart, he truly believes it. And you know what? Gotta love him for it.
He's got the 300 shield out. He's like, hold.
Yeah. There was like a level of masochism in it too, because he has this like the bomb sauce all over these chicken fingers, and he's like, if the events transpire where the crowd thinks I have the hottest take, then I'll punish myself. And then he just triples down like, oh, nobody's beating this. And so he just comes out the gate and like, I'm just gonna sentence myself to pain. And we get to the point of the show where it's like, we're going to do the, like, put the hand over the head. Who had the hottest take? And I don't even think Sean got past one person. And Adam's like, you want to just skip to Sean, everybody? And they're like, yeah.
I mean, Sean was really turning into Kiefer Sutherland in real time. He was the villain. He's sweating like crazy. I think I looked over and he had an earring in his ear.
Well, when he took the first bite during the first round, the 2 truths and a lie or whatever, and I just looked over to my right at him at one point, and he's trying to, like, I could tell he's really focused on trying to hold it together, and he's got a tear trail where just tears have been going. And I was literally like, if the microphones weren't so great at picking up sound, I was going to be like, you want me to take over for a round? Like I could pull him, but I just kept watching and waiting for the breaking point. It never came.
Wait, also, we're completely
no one asked you to do this.
But we forgot about the waitress who literally had beef with Sean Chandler at the end for not liking sour cream. Do you remember that? Like,
It was twofold. So this is Sunday night. We're skipping over just a bit because otherwise we'll forget. So Sunday night, Adam's already been gone. Me, Joey, and Sean are at this restaurant in the lobby of me and Joey's hotel. And so we're ordering food, and I get nachos for the table, and she's like, do you want sour cream? And I'm like, Joe, do you like sour cream? He's like, whatever, dude. And I go, Sean, do you like sour cream? And he's like, and it was not yes, sir. So I knew there was like a version of no.
Dude, he was contemplative. He was searching his soul for an answer.
And so I say no, and she like immediately judges Sean, and then she comes back to get his order. And he orders a burger, and she goes, how do you want it cooked? And Sean's perplexed. He's like, I didn't order a steak. What does that mean? He goes, what do normal people say? And she looks at him like, I don't know. I've never been asked this question. And I said, Sean, do you want any pink in your burger? And he's like, I said, medium well, ma'am. And she goes, what planet are you from? And walks away and leaves.
A burger is just 2 donuts with bacon in the middle, right? That's what a burger is.
Yeah, it was great.
That
and then she kept his credit card as punishment.
Yeah, right, I never got my credit card back. She did it on purpose.
She literally said, what planet are you from? And leave to take
the thing that makes it great is he wasn't joking. He was genuinely so confused about what was happening.
I feel like Sean learned a lot.
It's ground beef. It's ground beef. What are you talking about? I don't want to get sick.
I really think he thought we were messing with her, but we were not, because I kept every time she came over, I kept talking to her because I used to be a waiter. I used to talk to the waiter. You know, her name was Brooklyn. She was very nice. We like Brooklyn, nice girl. And she just sat there with her notepad out looking at you, Sean, and you were just looking down, really thinking about some things in life at that moment. It was a sight to see.
I'm impressed that you remember the waitress's name days later, because usually by the time I'm ordering the appetizer, I've forgotten.
Well, he locked in on it. He kept. This is true.
My son is learning how to order on his own now, Sean, and you'll be. This will make you feel a little better. I ordered a medium rare steak, as all people should. Rare, medium rare is the only acceptable thing. And then it gets to my son, and he orders some ribs, and then he goes, "I'll take a medium rare." And I'm like, Connor, you don't need to.
They only come extremely well done.
Like, Connor, you don't have to say that for ribs. Just beef. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got one more super chat from Troy McClure. Nice Futurama call. This comment is late as hell, but to the anally story, I once met a girl at Universal named Cuntley.
They probably work at the same restaurant.
It's probably, that's her sister. Not sure if that tops it or not. Not a joke. I believe you. People have some crazy names they call it. Joey, you heard the anally woman, didn't you?
Yeah. As soon as Cody got back, he had to tell me this, and I still was just perplexed as to why you would be an adult and not at least bullshit your name. Like, hey, look, legally it's this, but I like to go. Does anyone see Joe Dirt like coming to work? Joe Dirte? It's like, don't try to jerk it up, son. Naming you that, your daddy must have really hated you. Like, my God, just go buy something else. It's not that hard.
Other funny detail, I mean, it doesn't top the anally story, but so we all get our food, and there's these various like choices for sides, like if you want a salad or whatever. Sean commits to this bullshit little side salad, and they
get these huge slices of pizza. I grab this little salad that's like looks rotten.
He gets to anally, and he goes, "Can I have some dressing?" And she goes, "No, you cannot." Has to eat this dry salad.
The Caesar.
There's
without
this
the
poor
Caesar
excuse for a squirt of Caesar. It's like at the bottom.
I wish I could say that.
I literally like move the lettuce. Like, oh look down there. There's some salad dressing.
That's not what that was. I wish I could say that this was Sean's only running with salads this weekend, but that's not true. Tony bought him a salad the first day there, and it was like $18, I think, or something. Like, and he gets up there to the register, and the woman goes, "Are you sure this is what you want?" He picked out a salad that didn't have any meat. It was just straight up salad, no chicken. And Tony clearly paid for the meat version of the salad. So the woman's like, "Are you sure this is what you want?" And Sean's just like, "Yeah, I have it. It's a salad. I'm good."
Now that we talk about this, Cody, what am I missing that happened for the nachos? Something with Sean happened with the nachos.
Sean doesn't like beans. And so I forgot to warn him that there was going to be beans on the Southwest dish that everybody loves. And so like he looks at it and he's trying to do surgery on it. And I'm like, dude, it's literally like 3 ingredient nachos. It's beans, cheese. And, I forgot you let me know that you're the only Texan that doesn't like beans. My bad. And so his side plate becomes like the discard plate for 3/4 of the shit on the chips.
I usually sub the beans out for Skittles. Okay, so that was maybe Saturday. I don't know where we're at anymore.
That was
Saturday.
Sunday night, but we were literally starting Sunday.
Yeah, because I was gone for all that fiasco. Thank God at that point. So Sunday, Sean, that's when Sean had his 10 o'clock panel on Stranger Things.
Yes, which I politely bowed out of.
Yeah,
I was like,
I'm actually
10 again.
I'm actually really glad I couldn't go on that panel because I'm not that. I've seen all the seasons, but I'm not that familiar with it.
Well, it feels like it's been 8 years since season 4, so I was just empty on any knowledge that could have added any conversation to theories.
I know they were talking about the villain, like Vespa or Velma or something. His name was Vecna, I think. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot Vecna. That's a thing.
Yeah. Film stock had a hell of a turnout. His meet and greet line was like Sean level when I got there.
You know, he's got the youth of today on his side. He's captured those Stranger Things fans. I also noticed his audience skewed a little bit younger than ours as well, too.
Yeah, I cut myself off to that audience when I say fuck a lot.
Yeah. Sean scolded me, by the way, for swearing on our panel right after you had
much more
aggressively.
Yeah, much more aggressively. Fourth F-bomb, and you said
Sean,
shit, and he's like,
should
excuse
I
me.
apologize a couple of days late? Because I'm sorry, buddy.
Just to my mother, not to me. I'm fine. But my mother was probably deeply offended that I heard those words.
So it's like, Adam, my mom might be watching. Could you tone down the swear words? I said one. Cody's over there, this fucking bitch. All right. Joey, I don't think you could go a sentence without swearing.
Sean's mom is already my biggest fan, so I'm allowed to swear around her.
Yeah,
I was invited.
That's right.
She hasn't stay.
You got the pass.
Yeah, my mom hasn't forgiven you for everything, Adam, yet, but she's already forgiven everything. It's very interesting the way the universe works. Those are the rules. I don't make them. I just follow them.
You're just a good kid. You're a good son.
Yeah, I just listen to my mom.
That's fair. I respect that. All right, so Sunday you do the panel. I'm walking around. Who knows? I'm filming stuff for the vlog on Patreon, and then we do the horror panel hosted by Cody Leach this time around, which will be on his channel. And I thought that went great. I don't know. I don't see any.
I did too, and I was a little nervous about it because, like I said, it was Saturday night when I started to see how injured Sean's throat was becoming. That I kind of like threw the idea. I was like, I wasn't really planning on hosting it, but you need me to. And he's like, I thought you already were. And so I was like, well, I guess it's my time to shine. So then I kind of formulated some quick notes Saturday while in between Joey's stories, and then stepped up to the plate and hosted it. And yeah, it went really well. I got a little nervous because I had like a 3-act structure in my head, and act 1 was over in 6 minutes. And I was like, oh, and so then once we got into like what we didn't like, it went really well. The crowd was nice and lively, which I'm always curious on, with a dominantly Star Wars comic book anime, how many horror fans are there, but they were among the more lively. So that was fun. And yeah, that was it went really well. I'm looking forward to putting that on YouTube and get everybody to watch it.
I will say I was a little worried as well going into it that I was going to be underqualified because you got, and I think Sean was in there too, got into a little bit of a tiff on the artist formerly known as Twitter with some guy that apparently knows all about the golden age of horror films. And I saw the beginning of that. I'm like, oh shit, maybe I should like go back and look. And I put on Nosferatu from 1920 something. And it's in black and white with text. It's a silent film. I got 2 minutes in. I said, yeah, no, fuck this. If they ask me about Nosferatu, I'll just bow out gracefully. But yeah, that guy was avidly against you hosting this panel or any of us being on it.
Yeah, that was a hilarious exchange.
I didn't know anything about any of this. Who is this?
Yeah,
when Sean started
rando on Twitter.
Yeah, Sean started posting the panels, like the official slate and the times and everything like that. And some guy responded to the horror one, and he was like, why can't we get some actual experts on horror to run this panel? Why would Megacon get these guys? And it was just such a backwards, like, I think he thought like Megacon went out to find the experts and landed on us. And it's like, no,
dude, like, I don't, look, I'm speaking, look, I'm not speaking for anyone but myself. Whoever you are, go fuck yourself, okay? Because if there is something I can't stand, it's that attitude people have of like, it's the film school thing, right? Where it's like, well, Terminator 2 is terrible. You need to go see this weird, obscure movie from Asia that no one's ever seen because it's brilliant and I know about it and I'm telling you about it. Like, no, dude, I can't stand that shit.
And the panel's on like the current state of horror. Yeah. And what are we excited for? What current trends do we think aren't working? And the argument to disqualify us is that, like, Cody, I know you know a lot of horror, but you don't review Golden Age horror. So obviously, you're not qualified. It was like this argument that's like, but what does that have to do with this panel?
I mean,
like, what are you even talking about?
One person who should be hosting that panel more than Cody. I mean, literally every single horror release, the man suffers through shit that I'm never even going to see because I'm like, there is no way I'm going to see Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
But where's the review of every Hammer horror film? Where is it, Cody?
Cody should have put out a 3-hour tour de force documentary on the historicity of the Wolfman, Frankenstein, and all these movies scaling back from the 20s and on. Otherwise, he does have no credibility. But thankfully, the panel was great, and that guy didn't show up, or there was no snobs like that being rude. It was just a fun time.
Yes, it went very well. I was very excited at the turnout.
We got Troy McClure again for $5. Thank you, Troy. As someone who has been 100s of times, Okay, food wise, Finnegan's at Uni and Mythos at these are all abbreviations.
Islands of Adventure and Universal.
I just can't do it. Don't eat anywhere else or you will be sorely disappointed. Yeah,
well, we had our options limited.
We tried to go to Mythos, but it was closed and they didn't tell us. We just stood in the entryway looking like idiots, and I was all excited because I'm like, guys, you gotta eat here. And again, I keep, Cody, you kind of were wrong when you said I had all the ins and outs of Uni, because I was leading you down all the wrong paths. Get a butterbeer in line, come eat at Mythos, just screwing us over. Yeah, all we had options.
I feel like we got lucky on this one because whatever that weird place is called was close. Mythos. We ended up getting the Rogers family spaghetti. Cap was back in the kitchen. He was using the ladle and everything, and delivered some Rogers balls straight to my mouth, which I found quite delicious.
Sean was convinced that since Steve Rogers, Captain America, was on the billboard, that he was in the back cooking up a storm, and we had the Rogers family recipe.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? Is that not the case?
That is the case. That is the case. We were actually eating his balls that he prepared and anally served us. At the end. That worked out too well. That went off the tongue too well. We got the memories, not necessarily the good food, but we only had the Fantastic Four restaurant, where that's called, and the Three Broomsticks, and the Three Broomsticks line was around the building. That wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, there was a running joke because it was the $25 little voucher they gave us. The running joke was that they give you the voucher, but everywhere's closed. So 7 restaurants were closed, and it was like the lights aren't on. And then by the time we got to eat, by the time we got to eat, it was like 8:30 and or 8:25. It's like, look, it's going to be like this expires at 8:20.
It's a Holden Hardman. I don't think we've talked about Holden Hardman was with us.
Yes.
So he met us as we walked into Universal. Camera ready, walked in first time I ever met him, and it was like immediate content for the channel. Like, all right, cool, we're going for it.
Yeah, me and Adam were extremely the rude ones, because like we go through, we're like, we only got 5 hours to just experience this, and then Sean gets stopped by Holden, and they're literally doing like a live vlog, like 2 inches past the queue line where you get into the park, and me and Adam are like, can we fucking walk and vlog? Can we go this way? It's
Holden's like, hey, nice to meet you. Cool, great, okay, bye.
Yeah. But so Holden was there first, and he was like trying to use his card to get some snacks or a drink, and everything turned him down. And so it's paying $25 for a bottle of Coke out of his own pocket because his gift card wouldn't work. So
nice.
It was great.
You get the bad gift card. Yeah, we got Masked Sergeant. $5. Jokes aside, how much sleep are you losing over anticipation for Rebel Moon 2? Keep in mind that there is a possibility a director's cut 7. Wait, there is possibly a director's cut 7. Yeah, the joke is that. Oh, it's not even a funny joke, but Snyder has 17 different cuts of his movies now ready to go before the movie isn't even out. He already announces them, which is so degrading to the film itself. Like, why are people going to be excited when you're already saying, this is a fine movie, but I got the real movie in the chest and I'm going to release it a year later?
Well, but also, wasn't that a Netflix film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's literally tailor-made for whatever you want it to be.
It was a bunch of controversy where you couldn't really get a read if it was Netflix trying to like manufacture another Snyder Cut movement, or if it was Zack Snyder, because you listen to interviews with him and he's like, well, this is this movie, but the real version is like this steampunk rated R different version.
I never thought of that, but honestly, I think that's probably what it is. People in Hollywood do not have much creativity most of the time. They know people talked about that, and they probably wanted to try to do something like that again. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm curious if that's going to affect their plans for the second one, because they got nothing but mountains of shit and like really bad reviews on Rebel Cut and Rebel Moon, and the through line through all of them is you can tell that an hour is cut out of this movie.
Yeah, Joey, you're the nice guy when it comes to movies because you appreciate all the work that goes behind the scenes. I'm a lot more of an asshole.
Yeah,
I hated Rebel Moon, man. I thought that movie was just terrible.
I didn't see it. I think Zack Snyder, I felt this way after watching the Snyder Cut and the Batman v Superman director's cut. He just seems to be one of those filmmakers that needs like 4 hours to tell a movie how he wants to. Like, he likes a lot of detail, which I can appreciate a lot of time when it goes to things like character, because I still to this day have not seen the theatrical cut of Batman v Superman, but there were a lot of things the director's cut I really dug, and I just heard that the theatrical was not very good, and I had a great time. I was in quarantine for a show I was doing when the Snyder cut came out, and I remember watching it thinking it was great. It was an epic. It was long. Where I had saw the Joss Whedon cut actually during production of my movie, and it was, I mean, it was like you can't believe this has been really put out by a studio. So,
Yeah.
I think he is that type of filmmaker where I always say this with a lot of directors, and rarely does it happen. I would love to go and see them make something small again,
Yeah,
just to
it'd be nice.
see. Yeah, I mean, even with Nolan, I hated Tenet. Tenet was not for me. It felt like a lot of him trying to do things from Inception to a lesser degree, and it felt very pretentious. Like, I don't think Nolan could tell you what that movie means, where people say that's why it's smart, and I'm like, no, that's just pretentious for pretentious sake. But I'm like, yo, like, I want to see Nolan go make another Insomnia. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
go make, you have the freedom to go and make anything you want. Like, the only director I could think of who does things like that, I was talking about him with Cody this weekend, is Steven Soderbergh. Soderbergh can go make a really dope studio film with, actors, actresses, turn a healthy profit, and then he'll go and make a small $200,000 or $300,000 indie that's shot on an iPhone or extremely experimental. And I just respect that a lot. And I think for a lot of these filmmakers, it's like you won. You are literally at the top of the list of named directors who makes blockbusters. You could do anything you want. Don't you want to just kind of just say, fuck it? I want to go roll the dice and make something really small. I do think that's going to happen when someone like George Lucas passes away, because everyone has said he makes movies still
Hmm.
that he
Yeah.
funds that are extremely experimental. He just doesn't put them out there. So I don't know. I wish Snyder, the Snyders of the industry would go do something really small again.
I fully agree with you. All right, we got one more from Daniel Skinner for $5. Thank you, Daniel. Speaking of food, when I met Sean a month ago in LA, he gave me microwaved mac and cheese for free while I had to spend $10 getting him Midnight Run. Okay, well, kind of a happy first part with a sad ending. Sean, any comment on that?
Yeah. Well, it was a live event, so I had to put hot sauce on some chicken and eat it in front of the audience. So the only chicken I could find was chicken fingers, hot TV dinner with some macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
So I ran and like literally bought it out of the hotel store, cooked it there, took the chicken fingers in my hand. Daniel was standing there, was like, "You want some macaroni?" And he took it.
You want some macaroni?
Scooped it out with my hand.
Under a
Macaroni.
glass bowl, like this is Sean Chandler's mac and cheese.
Oh,
Did you show him the macaroni? It was actually maggots. Sorry, I'm thinking of the Lost Boys again. Hey, you want some macaroni? It's maggots. All right. Thank you for those super chats. Where are we at in this timeline? Have we finished?
We just talked about the horror panel.
We did the horror.
Well,
Okay.
boys, I love you all. I gotta dip out. I'm gonna get in bed with my girl and go to sleep because we're spending some time together. I love you all very, very much. Thank you for having me on this live. And I wish I can give you all big hug, especially that Sean Chandler over there, that cute boy. Love him. Love him so much. That Sean Chandler. But I love you guys very much, man. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Love
Later,
you, Joe.
man. Thanks for coming on. Okay, we're gonna wrap up soon too. So, any super chats you want to ask any of us about Megacon or movies in general, or any movie news? I think something spicy happened today, but I don't really give a shit about talking about it unless someone wants to.
That's
pay
like
for
that.
it. We'll wrap up soon, so get the super chats in. Sunday, I was pretty much gone after the Stranger Things photo shoot, which Cody again was nice enough to allow me to join, and we got in right away. Said nothing to the kids. Felt like a creeper standing next to him. Although it does look like I'm kind of like almost tucking into Wolfhard there, which is nice. It was a nice little moment. So anything else happened after I left? What did I miss? Because I drove 6.5 hours. I made it. I did pretty good on the way home. I stopped at Buc-ee's, of course. Got to stop at Buc-ee's.
Absolutely.
They have the most prestigious bathrooms in, I think, America. They're phenomenal bathrooms, and I don't say that lightly. But I ate so much because we barely ate the entire Megacon. I felt like I had 2 meals throughout the entire weekend, and they were garbage meals. So at Buc-ee's, I got a pulled pork cheese sandwich, and then I got a big brisket sandwich.
Yeah,
I got a large
that's a good
Coke. Pick. Oh my God, it was fantastic.
And then you bought a fryer out back. Let's just
and the fryer. I hooked that
$1,000 smoker.
Yeah, there's a swimming pool back there, and Buc-ee's beaver
kayak.
Yeah, and then I got those chips, those grilled chips they make, which are fantastic. And let me tell you, about 4 hours into my drive, my stomach was not feeling great from all that. All that.
Luckily,
shit.
I timed mine well, because 4 hours into my drive, I'm about to pull into my driveway, but I had a similar exit the next morning. Buc-ee's is something that I experienced for the first time me and Sean drove to Megacon, and I brought it up to him, not even realizing it's a Texas thing. I was like, because I watch a lot of food stuff, and so there was a channel that I watched where they did a vlog at the Daytona Beach one, and it looks like the most massive gas station that's ever existed, which is just a Buc-ee's thing. It's not even an impressive Buc-ee's apparently. But we stopped there, and I was like, Sean, there's this place called Buc-ee's, and he's like, yes, we're stopping there. Yes, that's the must have.
And for those of you that don't know, Buc-ee's is just a giant gas station.
It's a gas station where it's like somebody saw Walmart, Dick's Sporting Goods, and a gas station and said, yes, all 3, please. And so you when you're walking through it, you literally walk through like those 3 versions of the store. They have barbecue, and you think gas station barbecue, and it's like the best version of that you could think of.
Yeah, there's like chefs there preparing it and chopping the meat and yelling things.
Brisket on the board.
Yes,
the whole store does it and joins in. You got a stuffed Buc-ee walking around like Chuck E. Cheese. The kids take pictures with. I mean, it's wild.
Buc-ee's ball pit at some point. It's just crazy.
Yeah, so I introduced
750 gas pumps out front. Just rows and rows and rows of gas pumps, and they're always full.
Yes, always full.
There's one entrance and exit, so it's just a fucking shit show trying to get in and out.
Yeah, I took my family to the one on the way to North Carolina a couple years ago. We were going to my uncle's house, and so I introduced my wife and my kids to it. And so now, anytime I pass through Orlando, I have to make a stop. So the stop to Buc-ee's on the way to Orlando cost me $16. The cost back home, bringing all of the goodies that were requested, cost me about $115. And so it was lunch for me.
And then you saw a smoker, and it jumped up to $750.
Yes. So
I was there was an old couple looking at a smoker outside, like, this looks like a good one. This looks like a good one.
I leave with lunch for me. I leave with an apple pie. I leave with a drink. I also leave with 2 different boxes of pastries. They have this thing called a beaver tail there. That's basically like a cross between a croissant and a cinnamon roll. I brought fudge, like all these things for my family to be like, I remembered you. And yeah, so like I joked with Joey, because there was a possibility he was going to drive back with me and end up flying out of Savannah. And I was telling him about Buc-ee's, and I'm like, I'm not lying to you when I tell you that you cannot leave Buc-ee's without spending at least $100. Like it's physically impossible.
It's an experience. My kids, we were so burnt out by Universal in Florida that on the way home, when we said we were stopping at Buc-ee's, that was basically the highlight. Of the trip. Like, Buc-ee's, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so my trip home was fine. It did there was like a flash storm warning at one point, so I was just getting poured on. It was miserable, but I made it. I lived, and it was good. What happened when I left besides the Power Ranger meet and greet? Anything else, or was that about it?
So as we were winding down, finally talked to Greg Mark from the room, whose booth was next to mine. So not to do anything, but he's very kind and encouraging towards me. He also was surprised how long I was talking to everyone, and was like, "Why did you keep talking when you were like your vocal cords were running on -5?" Like we were in pain listening to you talk.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I care that much. I'm that hardcore. But yes, we did that, and then I followed them back to their hotel, and because we were at 2 different hotels, they like opposite ends of the center. It made this weird scenario where we'd have it was tough to hang out at nighttime. So I was going to go to their hotel, and then Cody would drive me back afterwards. and that's where we went to eat. And Brooklyn was our server, and she kept shaming me for not liking sour cream, beans, or realizing that there's people that want raw ground beef in the middle of their burgers or something like that. I didn't understand. I don't know what I did wrong, but she hated me so much. But I was dying. I was like dying.
Probably you did everything wrong, but we can move past it.
Yeah. It was also a fun little twist because like the whole thing was like how fun Joey's stories are and how like he just had an endless supply of them where anybody that talked to him is just like you're gonna get an experience. And that was the moment where we got to flip the script because he's sitting there, he's starting to get tired and he's like, man, I'm starting to feel exhausted now. And then now the shoe's on the other foot, and we start talking about the previous Megacon, and like we had John Flickinger and Austin Burke, and so we start telling like YouTube stories, and now he's like,
he was
what?
like, oh, what? You know this about this person? Wait, you met this person? Like he's trying to get all the dirt that we have on YouTubers and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good dinner, and I gotta say, like as the food snob, that was some damn good food. Like the nachos, despite having beans that Mr. Chandler was not too akin for, it was the best restaurant nachos I had ever had, and I had like these cod street tacos that were awesome. So as the foodie, I just had to point that out. 39 Bar and Grill, at the bottom of Rosen Plaza.
And I realized that you
just don't be picky if Brooklyn is your server.
Yeah, Brooklyn or anally, they don't mess around. Don't complain about the amount of balls that anally rings up. Yeah. Cody, I forgot you mentioned we missed out on one of the funniest parts of the panel at the horror one, which was one of our members was missing, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So
you can go ahead and tell him that. That was fun.
So Joey is self-admittedly nocturnal. Under normal circumstances, he's a vampire. He sleeps during the day and is alive during the night. And that did not quite function well for the Megacon, since most of the daytime is when we're doing our thing. So Sunday comes, and with the exception of the 7 a.m. bedtime, it was like 4 a.m. was average, which seemed graceful after the 7 a.m. So the guy his sleep schedule is unique. Yeah. And so the final day, the 10 a.m. panel, it doesn't have either of us on it, but I'm trying to get there to not only be there for the panel, but also I had the photo op. I wanted to walk around. So I'm leaving the hotel at like 9:30. He's out, and I'm like, hey, just make sure like you're gonna be good. We got our panel at 1. He's like, yeah, I'll be there, bro. I got it. All right. And he's got my alarm set for 10:45. Okay, cool. I leave. We do all of our stuff, do our photo ops and everything. It's like maybe noon, and I still haven't seen him. So I start texting him. I said, hey, yup, everything good? No answer. Tried calling him a couple of times. It gets to be about 12:20. Our panel's at 1. Usually you're walking on stage at 10 minutes prior.
And the room is not remotely close.
No, it's probably under normal circumstances a half a mile walk, but you also have to go in and out of crowds and go upstairs, and so it's even longer than that. Right. And I turned to Sean and I'm like, should I risk going back to the room to wake him up, or what do we do? And Sean's response is this. I'm like, thanks for that help. I'm gonna just run. I'm just gonna chance it. So I get my backpack on, and remember, I'm hosting this panel, so there's no scenario where I just show up 10 minutes after it started and make a little joke about my late absence. So I'm speed walking through crowds of people. This is midday Sunday, so this is like the second biggest crowd of the 4 days, and I'm getting that thin layer of sweat that you get when you're starting to perspire, but you're not I'm not somebody that pours sweat. So I just get this glisten layer, like a glazed donut.
Well, and you get that nice wetness between your back and the backpack.
Yeah, exactly. So I finally get to the hotel room, and it's 12:45 at this point. Open the door. Joey's
passed out. Yeah. And
I was like, Joey, panel's in 20 minutes. And he's got, the slick back hair. So he stands, he goes, what? And it's like this. he looks at his cell phone. He's like, oh shit. Yeah. And I was like, are you going to be there? He's like, I'll make it. I said, all right, well, I got to run back now. So then I shut the door and I go the exact opposite. And so when you go to the when you get actually into the convention, there's like multiple points of security. There's where they scan you to make sure you don't have any metal, and then you get to where the tickets and everything are, and then there's a second one where they actually scan everybody's badge. And we don't have to have ours scanned, but there's literally 1,000 people that are just queued off to the side. I don't know if they were just like trying to trickle in people for capacity's sake, but there's 1,000 people bricked, and I'm like, so I do like the Impractical Jokers thing where I'm like, Larry, and I try to get to the front of the line, walk past everybody, get a bunch of ugly looks, get all the way back to the stage at like 12:50. I'm like,
this is like you're one step away from being Steve Martin in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You're messing with the wrong guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, you son of a bitch, out. All right, so so I'm perspiring. I'm out of breath at this point. I'm stressed because it was like I just went through all that, like the worst scenario you want to have before you get onto a panel, let alone host it. And everybody's like, so Joey's not going to make it, is he? And I'm like, I trust he'll probably be here at the last second. Like he just feels like it's going to be one of those like right in the clutch. Yeah. And lo and behold, we're getting ready to walk on the stage, and like 12:58, all of a sudden he pops up and looks the same as he has the other 3 days. I don't know what happened.
Comes in, he's got his like Red Bull diet or whatever.
Yeah, he had enough time to stop 5 Red Bulls. He had time to spare. So he's got freshly steamed clothes. He's got his hair slicked back, not one strand of hair is out of place, like and he's got a bag of Red Bulls for everybody. He's like, "I'm fucking here, guys. You need a Red Bull." And so
it's like the Seinfeld where Elaine stops for Junior Mints before she goes to see her boyfriend in the hospital. Did you stop for Junior Mints? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it was seriously impressive. So then that was the lead up, and then luckily the horror panel went great. But yeah, there was a panic in my stomach for a bit there where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it back in time. This is not good.
Well, as I was leaving, I gotta tell you, this was a really awesome experience for me. I was like legitimately like holding back a little bit of choked up manly tears as I was saying goodbye to you guys. Like I didn't know how to leave. I'm like, well, by the time I hit that dusty trail, I've been on and off YouTube for over a decade now, with a lot of failed attempts to start up and trial and error things. And really just I would say the channel really started 2 years ago when I really kind of focused in and said, okay, I'm going to start doing this like it's a job now and not just a side hobby, even though I have a full-time job. It's a second full-time job. But like going to this con with you guys and being with other people in the space and seeing all of those people and seeing real faces and not just the fake names behind the screen. It's such a awesome experience and such a uplifting, motivational one that I came back and yes, I was exhausted, but the next day I'm like, okay, we're freaking doing it now. We're going to ask questions with these guys. We're going to figure out what works. We're going to collab with people. And damn it, we're going to make this thing work in 2024. So I just, again, thank you both for inviting me. It was an awesome experience. And I think this has been a great relationship. And hopefully we can keep doing more of this in the future.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, for sure. It's always nice that's kind of the best, even though like technically we kind of take a loss doing this. You know, you take time away from work. We don't get everything paid for. The benefit of being able to meet viewers and fans face to face, and like it just provides a really nice balance to the rest of the year when you're stuck in the trenches of Twitter and the comment section. So it just, 4 days at Megacon will make up for all the nastiness, because you're just like, oh yeah, I forget people are real when they're not behind a keyboard. And you get to hear all the different stories, like I've been watching you since this video, or it's awesome. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
We got a couple more super chats. Your guy again, Tony Movie Chappie, D9 Neil Blomkamp fan, $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Tony Movie Chappie. I'm not going to keep doing it. They seriously need to make a documentary about the making of Justice League behind the scenes with Whedon and the Snyder cut. Yeah, that would be phenomenal. I picture it like Apocalypse Now. The documentary is better than the movie even, because man, what a ride. What a ride. We have one from Tony Movie Chappie. Okay, he's back. Which is worst, Love and Thunder or Batman and Robin? $1.99 super chat. Thank you, Tony Movie.
I would rather rewatch Batman and Robin, but that's just because of like this sick nostalgia, guilty pleasure. Because I was 6 years old, I think, when that movie came out, and I loved it as a child. Love and Thunder, I got next to no enjoyment out of, and it's currently my least favorite thing the MCU has ever done. So Batman and Robin is a worse movie. Love and Thunder didn't kill the comic book genre the way that Batman and Robin did. But if you're asking me personally, I would rather watch Batman and Robin. I think it's more fun to make fun of than Love and Thunder.
Sean?
Kind of similar answer of Batman and Robin. I have a little bit of nostalgia for, and I feel like Joel Schumacher kind of made the live action cartoon with nipples that he wanted to make.
Well, he was to make a lot of that. They wanted to sell toys and
so they went in, like, leaned so hard into that. It's consistent within itself. That doesn't mean it's good, but Thor: Love and Thunder is actively frustrating from the opening scene, where it's like a guy's holding his dead daughter, and then the next scene it's like a goofy god making fun of him.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh.
And then a magic sword just appears for some reason. It's so lazy. It was so lazy,
and then we're dealing with like a woman dying of cancer, but also her other subplot with her is the love triangle between a woman, a hammer, and a god. Like, just like oh, these don't go together. This is a mess.
Pick a lane.
Yeah, it was like one of those of Batman and Robin. It has no pretenses. It has no anything assuming other than a silly, campy Batman movie designed to sell toys. And the other one is like, well, let's get this Oscar winner to play this very dramatic villain.
Right.
And that's kind of the story of the movie is a metaphor for the theological problem of evil. But also let's make it the silliest movie in the MCU. Which is that's far more irritating than Joel Schumacher made a live action cartoon to sell toys.
Exactly. I'm in the same boat as both of you. Only one of these films features bat nipples, and that's the one that I'd rather watch. And it's not Thor: Love and Thunder. We got Bubba, who's an awesome brother. He's a stepbrother, but he's a real brother to me, and he helps moderate the live stream. So thank you, Bubba, for $9.99. You did not need to do that. I'm so happy to see that you had a good time. Thank you all for this! ! Right on, dude. Master Sergeant, who just never quits. I appreciate it, sir. $10 super chat. Got you, Bubba. Snyder rules, except for Rebel Moon. Hurts my feelings. I think Sean likes Snyder's movies more than like I do. I kind of gave up on him at Sucker. Yeah, Sucker Punch didn't work. I like for
most
me.
of his movies.
Oh, do you? Okay. Mm-hmm. I like Man of Steel a lot, even though it does have a really dumb Clark Kent in that movie. I thought Pa Kent was ridiculous with this whole "Don't save me from the tornado" situation, but otherwise great. BVS, no, that was the end for me. Troy McClure, $2 super chat. Thank you, Troy. Adam, you got to do this right. Friends forever. I appreciate it. All right. I think we're about ready to wrap down. You guys, I assume, know these two gentlemen by now, but Cody, Sean, Cody, why don't you go first? Just tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, just search my name. My channel's my name, Cody Leach. I don't really have a map out of February yet, but I do still need to see Argyle. I'll likely do a review for it. I still need to do my January movies ranked, even though currently I've only seen 2 films from January, so I might need to squeeze in 1 or 2 to make that video worth having. But I also am going to have 2 of the videos from Megacon on my channel by the end of this week. Me interviewing Joey Sasso about his film and his reality career and everything, and then the horror panel. And then everything after that, I'll have to figure out probably here in a day or so when I do my calendar. But that's some things you can expect.
Awesome. Sean?
You can search for me, Sean Chandler. You'll find either an NFL player that does not look like me, or you'll find a guy talking about movies that does look like me. It's the one that looks like me that talks about movies. And yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing in February. They decided not to put out very many interesting films in January and February of this year. It kind of makes it difficult for us to do our jobs. At the same time, as long as things are slow, I guess it's a nice time to go do something like Megacon. Then this weekend, I'm going to Arizona. Zach Pope is getting married, so that'll be fun.
Nice.
Very cool.
Doesn't Madam Web come out this month? Don't we have a big movie from Sony? Is that a?
Yeah, we do. We got that one coming out in less than 2 weeks.
I think you guys have a couple videos planned. I know I got some ideas. We got to have a Madam Web review, Madam Web spoiler review, and we got to rank those beautiful
terrible
Sony,
ideas from Sony ranked worst to best.
beautiful Sony non-Spider-Man MCU films. Oh, what a time to be alive. All right, I will let you guys go. I think we all need a little bit more sleep in our system, and we can get to Joey levels maybe. That's not possible. That's not possible. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. This was awesome. It was fun recapping MegaCon with everybody. I didn't think this was going to happen how it did, but I'm so happy it did. Guys, as always, it's a pleasure. We'll keep in touch, and I'm out. Have a good night.